Did anyone really expect the Atlanta Braves to soar to great heights in 1982? Maybe not, but when the Braves opened the season in San Diego, they were about to start their march toward rewriting the record books. The Braves swept their opening series with the Padres, offering a prelude of things to come both in the field and at bat, where Dale Murphy started the year strongly on his way to winning the National League's Player of the Month honors for April with 6 homers and 22 RBIs. Back home in Atlanta, the Braves continued their winning ways and signed on a new group of followers who enjoyed following the ball out of the park.
Well hit! Whoa! Watch it! How far is it going? Thanks! Murphy!
Early on, National League opponents found that Atlanta was indeed a brave new world, especially when the Astros fell 3 straight times as Rick Mailer climaxed the series with his 2nd straight shutout. Mailer opened the year with 23 consecutive scoreless innings and earned the National League's first Player of the Week honors for his efforts as the winning continued.
Pitch on the way to Cruz. Bouncing ball to first. Here's your ball game. Chris Chambliss steps in the bag. The Braves are 5-0.
No doubt about it. The Braves were excited about their newfound success and anxious to set sail for Cincinnati. And when they were through, the Braves left town with the Reds feeling blue. Rick Camp came out of the bullpen to win his first game of the year as the Braves completed their 2nd straight 3-game sweep. Post-game celebrations were becoming commonplace as the win streak reached 8. From Cincinnati, the Braves' roaring roadshow hit Houston, where the rave reviews continued, especially when a 5-run 5th inning erased a 3-0 Astro lead. Then in the 9th, Rick Camp pulled down the final curtain on the Astros.
And a 1-0 pitch comes to Garner. Bouncing ball to third. There's 1. There's 2, and the Braves are 9-0.
2 more wins over the Astros ran the streak to 11, tying a Major League record for the most consecutive victories at the start of a season, set in 1981 by the Oakland A's. One night later, the Braves came home with hopes of winning number 12 and making history against Cincinnati.
Murphy going back. Butler going back at the wall. They did it! The Atlanta Braves have done it! Look at the mob scene. The police can't control the crowd. Get your batting helmets on and get out of there, boys.
Witnessing history drove Braves fans into a frenzy as they ran on the field in a joyous celebration. And if the fans seemed ecstatic for the Braves' 12th straight win, then Claudell Washington must have sent them on the warpath one night later.
Here's the wide and the 1-0 pitch. Line drive, base hit, center field. Ramirez scores. Here comes Butler. Here comes the throw. The Braves have won their 13th straight. Claudell Washington drives home 2 runs with a 2-run, 2-out 9th inning single, and Atlanta Fulton County Stadium is going crazy again.
And who could blame them? By winning their first 13 games, the Braves not only set a Major League mark for the most wins from the start of a season, but they also set a team record for most consecutive victories. But more than that, they won the hearts of millions of fans all over America, especially in Atlanta, where Braves backers were relishing the thoughts of their team's first Western Division championship since 1969. But to the Braves themselves, the record streak was more than just a historical event. To them, the streak separated their past from their future. And for that, they were just as excited as their fans.
It's a great feeling. I just hope this is a prelude to many more of them.
Well, everybody believed in themselves, and you know, we never thought we'd start a streak. We just knew we'd win the division this year. We have the confidence and desire, you know, and the depth on this ball club to go all the way this year.
It wasn't one guy, it wasn't one pitcher, it wasn't one player, it was 25 guys. Even the guys that never got in the ball game were pushing and pulling for the other guys in the field.
Now the teams are going to look at us a little differently, and they're going to come out and play their best game, and then we're going to have to meet the challenge later on.
That first 2 weeks of '82 was the most incredible thing because it was so unexpected.
Meanwhile, west of Atlanta, but atop the NL East, the St. Louis Cardinals were creating their own April win streak of 12 games.
Runner breaking the throw to Trio, and now Trio can't get it out of his glove, and Herr comes in to score.
While the Braves utilized power, Whitey Herzog's Cardinals played their own brand of the game, dubbed Whitey Ball, a mix of small ball, defense, and speed.
The squeeze play, it's a beauty.
We couldn't hit it very far, but we could do a lot of things. Mainly offensively, we were very good. Defensively, we were outstanding.
The heart of that defense was shortstop Ozzie Smith, simply dazzling in his first year in St. Louis.
Ozzie Smith, the wizard.
A sparkling defensive play by Ozzie Smith.
He had all the quickness, all the speed, all the coordination, and all the flair that he could bring to the position of shortstop.
Across the infield at first, Keith Hernandez seemed a lock for his 5th straight Gold Glove.
When you talk about Keith Hernandez, you're probably talking about one of the greatest defensive first basemen in the history of the game.
The thing that separated us from the other good teams in the division was the fact that we caught and threw the baseball better than most people.
The double play! What a double play by Ozzie Smith!
The real challenge for us was our pitchers keeping us close and keeping us in ball games, which they were able to do.
Those pitchers could throw with confidence, thanks to the defense behind them, as well as the steady veteran presence of catcher Darrell Porter. The ace of the staff was right-hander Joaquin Andujar, pitching in his first full season in St. Louis.
Struck him out with a sidearm breaking ball.
And once the speed, defense, and solid start in pitching had done their jobs, the Cards could turn to one of the best closers in baseball.
For 7 years, Bruce Sutter was the most dominant relief pitcher in the history of the game. I've never seen a relief pitcher that good, and he had that split finger.
I'm sure guys threw it before him, but I think he was the guy that maybe exposed it as one of the toughest pitches ever to hit.
Sutter out of the stretch, and the strike 2 pitch is waved out and missed, and that split-fingered fastball just wrapped him up.
They were pretty much a team you had to beat by the 7th inning, because Sutter would easily pitch 2 innings or more if necessary.
Whitey Ball made the Cards fun to watch and easy to root for.
Frommer stealing off. He is safe, and the Cardinals win.
And how about those Atlanta Braves, who subsequently took over first? What a weird year for them. For a long time, the Braves had a stranglehold on the division, but then after holding a 9-game bulge, were seriously humbled, seemingly without a prayer of recovery. But players like Rafael Ramirez answered some prayers. With the Braves 3 games behind the Dodgers and only 3 games left at home, Atlanta's up-and-down shortstop had his biggest game against the Padres. 3 for 3 with 2 homers and 5 RBIs. A sweet-stroking Rafael masterpiece, and the gallery applauds. Jerry Royster went 4 for 5, and the whole ball club went on a rampage, banging out 16 hits. Atlanta made up a 4-run deficit to come from behind for the 44th time, beating the Padres 11-6. If anyone could figure out how to master this mad division plot, it wasn't the declining Padres, who figured in it most of the year. Rookie Steve Bedrosian, who's figured heavily in the Braves' success with a 2.18 ERA, wrapped it up with save number 11, and Atlanta was on the march. The next day, Dale Murphy and company rewarded the home crowd's appreciative spirit again in typical hard-pounding style. There it is, going, and long gone. Number 36 for Murph, 24 on the home turf. In case you didn't know, Atlanta's Man of Steel is the only Brave to play in every game. Claudell Washington also had a big game with 3 smash hits and 4 RBIs. Once more by comeback, the Braves were victors 12-6 and one game out in the wild, wild West. But then, what seemed like a bad joke threatened to flip out everyone in Atlanta. It wasn't a joke, but a Harper's Bazaar. Fair or foul, Terry Harper had the ball into the wall, but it was ruled in play and a home run inside the park. That made the difference in a 3-2 Padre win. Nevertheless, the Braves stayed in the race and took first place 2 days later. In the East, the Arch of Triumph finally had a place in St. Louis as the suddenly uncontested Cardinals calmly clutched the title for the first time since their 68th pennant celebration. In winning 12 of 15 games, the Redbirds ran away from the fumbling Eastern Pack with a surprising ease. Gas house style is the tempting way to put it, but though the running Redbirds were pacing the league with 193 steals, the team record of 204 does not belong to the Cardinals' gas house gang of the 30s, but the Cardinals of 1914. Remember them, birds? Well, if not, remember that these Cardinals flew straight despite criticisms of Whitey Herzog's trades and claims that the pitching was too thin. Forget that. Rookie John Stuper came up in late May and was solid enough to win 9, including a 3-1 victory over the Cubs, which gave him 3 straight in the stretch drive. And Joaquin Andujar jacked his record to 15-10, winning 7 straight while allowing only 7 runs. Also pitched 5 shutouts. Hard to believe? Well, if the competition was caught off guard, that's baseball. And Cardinal baseball meant red-hot defense. It also meant more than 2 million fans and a club attendance record, breaking the mark set in '67 when the Cardinals last won a World Series. St. Louis set that new record as the Redbirds finished their home season by winning 2 of 3 from the Cubs to reduce their magic number to 2. Then they hit the road to Montreal's Big O, Olympic Stadium, where they got a quick taste of that clinching sensation as the Cubs beat Philadelphia and the Expos, last year's division champs, failed to play spoiler. A 4-2 win for the St. Louis Cardinals, a new champion in the National League East, and the first club to clinch its division in 1982's mad, mad photo finish pennant picture.
San Diego. The Braves' lead is a single game with 3 remaining. Again, their elder statesman gets the call. You think Phil Niekro didn't want this one? Why, he even turned slugger for a night.
The 1-0 pitch, fly ball, deep left field. Back goes Richards. This one is out of here. Phil Niekro has hit the first home run in 6 years, and the Braves have taken a 3-0 lead.
Like Phil Niekro that have been around the major leagues and won a lot of games for a lot of years, they can really smell that victory when they get to this point in the ball game. Here's the 2-1 pitch, fly ball, well hit right center field. Washington makes the running catch. The ball game's over, and Phil Niekro has recorded his 2nd consecutive shutout, and his own home run was the big blow in this game.
I've been waiting for this day and the weeks ahead for a long time, and I was definitely going to try and take advantage of it if I could, and I got a pitch to hit. I don't even know what it was. I was just up there whacking at it as hard as I could just in case I hit it, and I hit a good part of the bat and it carried the seats.
The thing to keep in mind now is we got 2 more ball games to play, and we still need some help to win the championship tomorrow night, and it's something that we need to think about. And you'll find in these type of situations, I think championship seasons, you get these types of performances from people like Phil Niekro.
Another veteran would supply the winning punch the following night.
Now the one-swing delivery. Fly ball, deep right field. Tony Gwynn going back on the warning track. This one is out of here. A long home run for Chris Chambliss. And Chris set a goal for himself at the beginning of this season. He said he's never hit 20 home runs in 1 year in his entire career. And he would like to accomplish that this season. He just has. His 20th home run, his 86th RBI. And it's now 3-0 Atlanta.
Garver with his first pitch. Let up, back, up to second. Hubbard. Braves win. And here come the Braves. Braves win. And here come the Braves. They've got themselves right now a tie for the pennant.
It has come down to this. A one-game lead. 1 to play. It has been a week of musts. A week of pressure.
Just like everybody else. Pressure. You've only had to run so far, so good. But you will come to a place where the only thing you feel are loaded guns in your face, and you'll have to deal with pressure. Don't ask for help, you're all alone. Pressure. You'll have to answer to your own. Pressure. I'm sure you'll have some cosmic rationale. But here you are in the ninth. 2 men out and 3 men on nowhere to look but inside, where we all respond to pressure.
Drive to right field. Back goes Monday. It's gone. Joe Morgan has just hit a 3-run homer for the San Francisco Giants. They lead the Los Angeles Dodgers 5-2. Still batting in the bottom half of the 7th. The Braves perhaps just 1 out away from losing this ball game. But don't give up yet, because the Giants have taken a 3-run lead over the Dodgers. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Popped him up. Foul territory. Catcher Terry Kennedy will make the catch, and the San Diego Padres have beaten the Atlanta Braves.
A 5-1 loss to the Padres would keep the champagne on ice for now. This team would have to wait to learn its fate. It would rest in the hands and bats of the Dodgers and Giants, still playing some 500 miles up the same Pacific coastline. If the Dodgers lose, the division championship would belong to Atlanta. The Braves gather 6 months after it all began to watch and wait. Here's Dodger announcer Vin Scully to tell you about it.
The 9th inning at Candlestick Park.
3 outs away between the end of the regular season or a date Monday with Atlanta. And the Dodgers find themselves down by 2. Ron Cey hit a 2-run home run in the 2nd inning. It was his 6th home run of the year against the Giants. He struck out in the 4th, and he singled to right in the 7th. Now just trying to get aboard any way he can and keep it alive. Ground ball back to third. What a stop by Evans. His throw got him. Oh, what a tough play by Darrell Evans. Marvelous play. Evans taking a short double away from Ron Cey. And the Dodgers expending one of the 3 precious outs. And the batter is Ron Renicky, hitting for Bill Russell. For Steve Yeager. And the chant again. You can probably hear it in Los Angeles without a sound system. Beat LA, beat LA. They're going to live on that all winter up here. Renicky hitting .307 as a left-handed batter. And he was the most productive Dodger pinch hitter with 13 hits and 5 RBIs. Foul back. And each strike now will elicit a louder noise from the crowd. 1-2. On the corner. Say one thing, it would have been a lot less painful had Atlanta just won in San Diego. Now, of course, this crowd on its feet enjoying the writhing last moments of a Dodger ball club one step from the end of the year. Russell with Guerrero on deck. Right. Boy, you'd think the Giants were heading to the playoff, wouldn't you? Ground ball to Evans. Goodbye, 82.
The 1982 National League Championship Series opened in St. Louis, with the Cardinals confident of their prospects against the visiting Braves.
We had a nice advantage going into postseason play because they had no time to go home then. They came right from the West Coast into St. Louis to play us.
They had a great team. We knew going in that it was going to be a tough series.
Atlanta's prospects were hindered further when Mother Nature burned ace Bill Niekro in the opener.
The rain starting to come down again. With 1 out in the bottom of the 5th inning, this is not an official game.
That game got rained out, so we ended up losing Niekro's start, and we ended up starting back again.
We got underway yesterday, played 4.5 innings, and then this happened, a deluge. 2.5-hour delay. Finally, the game postponed. Will start afresh tonight. And with the Braves facing the Cardinals in Game 1, it's Pasquel Perez, who spent half the season in the minor leagues, on the mound for Atlanta against veteran right-hander Bob Forsch for St. Louis. Stadium, sold out. They'll have 51,000. Most of the people were here yesterday. All you needed tonight was a rain check. Game number 1, as you look around, the artificial surface. The Cardinals' first postseason competition since 1968. The best-of-5 National League Championship Series after an aborted start getting underway this evening in Missouri. Hello again, everyone. I'm Al Michaels, and when we last left you yesterday, 1 out, bottom of the 5th inning, the Atlanta Braves were on top by a score of 1-0. It started to rain. Billy Williams, the plate umpire, called time at that point. A little bit of controversy about it, but I really think much ado about nothing. Some people felt he could have waited. Perhaps they would have gotten 2 more outs. That would have made it an official game. But I'll tell you one thing. Chub Feeney, it was in his hands whether to call the game or not. He probably would have waited until 4 o'clock in the morning to call that one. If you're wondering what the weather was like here last night, it finally did stop raining at about midnight. It made it easier just to call the game. And as far as the Atlanta Braves are concerned, no controversy as far as they are concerned. To a man, I think it's best summed up by Chris Chambliss, the veteran first baseman, the veteran of postseason play with the New York Yankees, who said, we're not looking for any cheap 5-inning victories. So tonight we should have no trouble going 9 because the weather is perfect. It was a gorgeous day in St. Louis. Temperature right now is 68 degrees. And because of the rain out, we have Game 1 tonight. Game 2 will be here and not in Atlanta tomorrow night. Game 3 at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium on Saturday night. A 4th game, if necessary, on Sunday night. And a 5th game, if necessary, to determine it all in the National League would be held at Atlanta on Monday afternoon. Of course, as far as the rainout is concerned, the managers have to think about juggling their rotations. It was Niekro against Andujar yesterday, and on that subject, Howard Cosell talked with Atlanta manager Joe Torre.
I think you should tell the public here and now about your talk just now in the clubhouse with Phil Niekro. You almost toyed with starting him tonight. He wanted to start, didn't he?
Well, actually, I had Bob Gibson talk to him about that. Gibby said his eyes really popped up real big. And see what had happened. It's not really the arm as much as it is the hand. He fouled the ball. He got jammed yesterday on an Andujar pitch and got a little puffiness in his thumb. But we just feel it's safer to wait till tomorrow to start Phil because we want to make sure his first outing is going to be a good one.
So Phil will start tomorrow, 1 day's rest in the wake of yesterday's 4 1/3 inning.
Right. He threw 60-something pitches, but the way he's been pitching, I'm sure that, as we said before, the adrenaline's flowing and he's ready.
Is there irritation in you over Billy Williams, the plate umpire's decision to stop play when 2 more outs would have given you a victory?
Well, Howard, I don't believe would have given us a victory. I'm sure we would have finished that game one way or the other. You know, if it had been, after the 5th was completed, then we would have sat on it and waited. And I just think Billy was following instructions on any kind of rain to keep it from being the kind of fiasco it was a few years ago to play in the rain, that he just did it to protect everybody involved. But I have no animosity toward Billy. He's just doing a job.
How materially has your club been hurt by the failure to complete yesterday's game? And how can you be sure that Niekro will be able to pitch tomorrow with just 1 day's rest?
Howard, I haven't been sure of anything all year except that we're going to win. And it's just another obstacle we're going to have to climb and jump over. And it's just been that kind of year. We figured if anything was going to happen that was going to be weird, it was going to happen to us. But the ball club just seems to come back in the face of adversity and do very well. So we're pretty confident we're not going to be hurt by it.
So ready for Game 1, Busch Stadium in St. Louis. And in just a moment, Howard Cosell will be joined by Dodger manager Tommy Lasorda as the two compare the Braves and the Cardinals.
Hello again, everyone. A privilege to have with us, sporting a new backward swirl hairdo, Tom Lasorda, the ebullient, voluble manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers, as our expert for this National League Championship Series. And we want to do exactly what we did yesterday, prime time, different audience, no fear of repetition. Tommy, quickly, your general comparison of the two teams.
Well, Howard, these clubs are very different. They're one club, Atlanta, they depend upon power. They have 4 guys that can hit the ball out of the ballpark at any given time. And they also have what I think is an outstanding bullpen. Joe Torre, when the game is close after the 5th inning, he will go strictly with a 2-man bullpen and Steve Bedrosian and Gene Garber. If he's 1 run behind, he'll try to get Garber in after they get ahead.
All right, Tommy, let's take it now man for man, position by position, and let's see whom you give the edge to. We begin at first base. That means Chris Chambliss and Keith Hernandez.
Well, Chambliss is a veteran. He's been in these games before. He's got good power. Keith Hernandez, to me, is a great all-around ball player. I have to give the edge to Keith Hernandez.
All right, we go on to second base. Now, that means Glenn Hubbard, they call him the gamer, and Tommy Herr.
These two players are almost alike. Hers has a little bit more speed. Hubbard has a little bit more punch. I'm going to give an even on that second base position.
Over the shortstop, Rafael Ramirez playing very well in the late going, and Ozzie Smith.
Well, Rafael Ramirez is doing very well, but he's no Ozzie Smith. Ozzie Smith, to me, is one of the finest fielding shortstops I've ever seen. And if they hit enough balls to him, you're going to see this guy make plays that are unbelievable. The choice goes to Ozzie Smith.
Over to third base with Bob Horner coming back from an injury. We'll detail that later in the show. And Ken Oberkfell.
Ken Oberkfell is a good contact hitter. Hits the ball all field. He is a good fielder. Horner is coming off an injury. I don't know how much it's going to affect him. He can hit the ball out of the ballpark at any given time. I'm going to have to go with the power, and my choice is Bob Horner.
Moving out to left field, you've got versatile Jerry Royster, offense-minded Lonnie Smith.
Jerry Royster is a good ball player. He's going to do a lot of things for the Braves. Lonnie Smith, to me, is one of the finest offensive players in all of baseball. My choice is Lonnie Smith.
To center field, and slugger Dale Murphy against Willie McGee, the speedster.
Willie McGee's a bright young ball player. He's going to be sensational. Dale Murphy is having a sensational year. He has all of the earmarks of an MVP, and I'll tell you something, this guy's some ball player. Dale Murphy, my choice.
And now to right field, where you've got for Atlanta, well, Claudell Washington, who's come so strongly, and the powerful George Hendrick for St. Louis.
Well, Claudell Washington has been a big help to the Braves. George Hendrick, along with Murphy, has to be a choice for the MVP of the National League. My selection, George Hendrick of the Cardinals.
Finally, in the catching position, Bruce Benedict, Atlanta, Darrell Porter, St. Louis.
Defensively, Bruce Benedict is the best. He can do it all. He can catch, he can throw. He's a good caller of signals. On the other hand, Darrell Porter doesn't have a good arm. He's a below-average catcher, but he can hit the ball out of the ballpark. And the name of the game is offense. I'm going to go with Darrell Porter for the simple reason he can hit the ball out of the park.
So position by position, Tom Lasorda gives the edge to the Cardinals. But the pitching. First of all, what about that Niekro decision tonight?
Well, Niekro loves to pitch. He's a tremendous competitor. He wanted the ball again. That tells you something. That wouldn't have been a bad selection. He can go out there and do it for you. He's that type of pitcher.
What about Perez, whom the fans know so little about, really?
Perez was acquired from the Pittsburgh Pirates in the McWilliams deal, and he's the kind of guy that he can go out there. He's got a good fastball, and he throws a good hard slider. He'll go for 6 innings, and if the game is close, they'll go to the bullpen to help him.
You've already mentioned Bedrosian and Garber, the bullpen, but one final quick word about them.
Well, they are two outstanding relief pitchers. Bedrosian throws hard. He can do it for 2 or 3 innings. Then he brings in Garber, who is tough with his off-speed stuff. He throws a great change of pace. On the other hand, you have the St. Louis Cardinals. I think they have the best relief pitcher in baseball, and Suter, and I think that's going to make the difference. The bullpen is going to make the difference in this playoff.
Final word about Forsch, the starter.
Forsch is a good pitcher. He's very, very courageous on the mound. He'll go after you, but you got to watch him. He's a good hitter. He can swing that bat. They better throw him a lot of curveballs.
Lasorda will tell it to you like it is all evening long. Be assured of that. We'll have a look at those starting pitches when we come back in a moment.
Here is Pasquel Perez ready to start the playoffs, a man who began the year at Portland, also pitched at Richmond, and he is summed up by former Cardinal great and current Atlanta pitching coach Bob Gibson. His comments on the young right-hander.
Well, yesterday I was talking with some reporters, and they said, well, if they get by Niekro, that possibly the Cardinals will have a pretty good chance. And I said, well, they're going to have their hands full with Perez. The kid's got great stuff. He's a good pitcher. He's a lot older on the mound than he is chronologically, and I just think that he's going to give him a lot of trouble.
And he'll be opposed by veteran right-hander Bob Forsch. Forsch in his 9th season with the Cardinals, 15-9, a 3.48 ERA. And earlier, Howard Cosell talked with Whitey Herzog, his manager.
Characterize Forsch for me.
Bob Forsch is a control pitcher. He's got all the pitches, fastball, slider, changeup. He knows what he's doing out there. He mixes in a little knuckleball now and then. He doesn't strike many people out. He gives up probably better than a hit per inning overall, but the thing he does is not walk people. He makes the people earn what he gives up, and in this ballpark, that's a pretty good way to pitch, especially when we can catch the ball.
Quite a contrast as far as the matchup is concerned. The youngster Perez and the veteran Forsch. And we'll be right back for Game 1 of the National League Championship Series between the Atlanta Braves and the St. Louis Cardinals after this ABC News brief and a word from our local stations. Game 1 of the 1982 National League Championship Series from Busch Stadium in St. Louis. The Atlanta Braves against the St. Louis Cardinals. And tonight's game is brought to you by Chevrolet, who invites you to take charge of a new Chevrolet car or truck at your Chevrolet dealers now. And by Miller High Life, the best beer for the best time of the day. Welcome to Miller Time. Cardinals best of 5 National League Championship Series, Game 1 about ready to begin. And let's have the introduction of the teams right now. Joel Myers, the PA announcer at Busch Stadium.
Let's meet the participants in the 1982 National League Championship Series. First, the Western Division champions, the Atlanta Braves. The manager of the Braves, a former Cardinal, number 9, Joe Torre. Now the starting lineup for the Braves. Leading off, number 15, right fielder Claudell Washington. Batting second, number 16, shortstop Rafael Ramirez. Hitting third, number 3, center fielder Dale Murphy. Batting cleanup, number 10, first baseman Chris Chambliss. Hitting fifth, the Braves captain, number 5, third baseman Bob Horner. Batting sixth, number 1, left fielder Jerry Royster. Seventh, number 17, second baseman Glenn Hubbard. Batting eighth, number 20, catcher Bruce Benedict. And hitting ninth and pitching for the Atlanta Braves, warming up in the Atlanta bullpen down the left field foul line, number 27, Pasquel Perez. And the rest of the members of the 1982 Western Division champions, the Atlanta Braves, along with their coaches and trainers. And now the 1982 Eastern Division champions, the St. Louis Cardinals. First, the manager of the Cardinals, number 24, Whitey Herzog. And now the starting lineup for the Redbirds. Leading off, number 28, second baseman Tom Herr. Number 10, third baseman Ken Oberkfell. Hitting third, number 27, left fielder Lonnie Smith. Batting cleanup for for the Cardinals, number 37, first baseman Keith Hernandez. Hitting fifth, number 25, right fielder George Hendrick. Batting sixth and catching for the Cardinals, number 15, Darrell Porter. Hitting seventh, number 51, center fielder Willie McGee. Batting eighth, number 1, shortstop Ozzie Smith. And hitting ninth and pitching for the Redbirds, number 31, Bob Forsch. And the rest of the members of the Eastern Division champion Redbirds, along with their coaches and trainers. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem, to be played by Ernie Hayes and sung by native St. Louis and Peter Palmer and his wife, singer-actress Anika Farrell. The Atlanta Braves, the St. Louis Cardinals will get the National League Championship Series underway right after this.
When the game's on the line, a manager wants a stopper in the bullpen, a relief pitcher who shuts the door on enemy bats. Major League Baseball salutes the Cardinals' Bruce Sutter and Kansas City's Dan Quisenberry as the game's top reliever. Quisenberry won relief man honors in the American League for the second time in 3 years, while Sutter spelled relief in the National League for the second year in a row. Congratulations to these two top relievers.
The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
Winning the 1982 National League Rolaids Relief Man of the Year Award is Mel Goods, Senior Vice President of Warner Lambert, maker of Rolaids.
Rolaids never forgets what relief means to a team and to us at Rolaids. So we're very proud to recognize the National League's top relief pitcher with this award. This year, Rolaids spells relief, Bruce Sutter.
Thank you, Mel, and thank you, Rolaids. I really like the way you spell relief, and I love the way you spell Relief Man of the Year.
Known as Gussie, August A. Busch Jr., the president and chief executive officer of the St. Louis Cardinals. He's been the president of the team since February of 1953. Going out the first ball, the ceremonial first pitch. He did it yesterday, but we were rained out, so he's going to try it again. Gussie Busch. Stadium named, of course, for the Bush family, Bush Memorial Stadium, downtown St. Louis. Darrell Porter on the receiving end. The Cardinals, he's watched them through thick and thin. Whitey Herzog, the man he hired a couple of years back after Herzog had been fired at Kansas City, and Whitey has brought the team into the championship playoffs in 2 years, and earlier Howard visited with Whitey.
On a broad basis, you came in here, general manager and manager, and you tore this ball club apart and you rebuilt it. What was your thinking when you did that?
We were a ball club that was playing in a big ballpark, Howard, had a lot of good hitters. I was very fortunate that I could deal from strength. We had 2 good catchers in Ted Simmons and Kennedy. We had 2 good first basemen in Bull Durham and Keith Hernandez. Therefore, I had a couple of good young ball players that I could deal away and get the people I wanted. I knew that Bull Durham was going to be a superstar. He's a great player right now, but we had to have the good relief pitcher, and I thought Bruce Sutter was the best, so we did that deal. Kennedy was very much in want by a few ball clubs. San Diego had fingers. I didn't know whether I could get Suter. I got him on a Monday. Fortunately, I got Suter on a Tuesday, and that's why he went. And he's had a great year there. But the thing that was the key to the whole thing was being able to sign Darrell Porter as a free agent. That gave us the depth we needed where we could do a few things, and that set everything in motion. And I think what people have to look at on any ball club is not who you traded away or what you did. The end result is where you were and where you are now. And I think it's been proven the last 2 years we've had the best record in the National League East.
Part of that reason, their defense, as we look at them individually, Keith Hernandez is at first base, visiting there with Coach Sonny Jackson of the Braves. The second baseman is Tommy Herr, has his finger wrapped. That's been bothering him. He's had numerous injuries this season, but he's a gutty second baseman. Ozzie Smith, also hampered somewhat by thigh muscle, and Smith is playing at about 90%. And over at third is the man who is the converted second baseman. When they put Herr at second, they moved Kenny Oberkfell over to third, and that's worked out very well. In the outfield, the man they call Skates, at least they called him that in Philadelphia, slips and slides a lot, Lonnie Smith. In center is the rookie, started the season in AAA at Louisville and has made a big splash here, offensively and defensively, Willie McGee. And around and right, the man they rely on for power, led the club in home runs with 19, George Hendrick. Back to the plate, over from Kansas City, Darrell Porter, and on the mound is Bob Forsch, 15-9, 3.48 ERA in his ninth season.
Reputation of giving up runs early in the ball game, so you're going to have to get him early if you're going to get him. He's a tough pitcher. He's a good competitor.
Claudell Washington to lead things off. He started yesterday's game with a double. Grounded to the right side, and an easy play for Tommy Herr, so this one has a more auspicious beginning for the Cardinals than did yesterday's game. Washington, with a double yesterday, was bunted to third and came in to score on Chambliss' single. That was the only run. 330 down the lines, 386 to the alleys, 414 to straightaway center. A very spacious park, very difficult to hit a home run here.
Al, Tommy will be the first to tell you that Forsch rarely strikes out hitters. His average strikeouts per game, a little over 2 men per game. As you look at tonight's umpires, Billy Williams back at home plate, Engel, Wengelstadt. Tom will tell you about Harry later, Bruce Fremming, Dutch Rennert, and Paul Runge. But the point is that Forsch has super control, keeps the ball in play. Right, Tom?
Absolutely.
Here's Rafael Ramirez taking low for ball one. Ramirez hit 278 this year. That's much more than they had expected. Go back to last season, his first year with the club, he hit 218. He also led the league in errors with 38. Takes a strike, and the count is 1-1.
This guy's a good fastball hitter. He'll jump off with both feet to get to the fastball. His weakness is breaking balls, and you got to keep the ball down on him.
In the aborted game yesterday, Ramirez sacrificed and grounded out, but all of yesterday's stats literally washed away. 2-1 the count.
Atlanta's a gutsy team, a great deal of self-belief, no wasted time in complaining over what happened yesterday, and that's a tribute to Joe Torre.
2-1 to Ramirez is hit in the air to center field. Willie McGee drifting over. 2 down in the first inning. Ramirez is gone, and Dale Murphy is the batter. Murphy came up yesterday with Washington at third, 1 out, and hit a chopper back to the pitcher. Dale this season tied with Al Oliver for the National League lead in runs batted in with 109. They were talking about Murphy in terms of winning the MVP award, but he cooled off at the end. Bob Forsch at home, 11-2 this season. Very tough in this park. 1-0 the count.
Murphy is some kind of ball player. He's outstanding defensively and offensively, and this guy will steal some bases on you. He can hit the ball out of any ballpark.
Takes low. That's the deceiving thing about Murphy. A fellow who drives in that many runs, hits that many homers, you figured he's a big lumbering slugger who maybe steals 3 or 4 bases. That wasn't the case with Murphy this season.
The other thing is he doesn't know his own power yet. Still a kid. 14 or 15 of his home runs have been to the opposite field.
2 balls, 1 strike to count. Howard just said very true. 12 homers to left this season. He hit 9 of them to center and 15 to right, spacing them around. 2-1 the count. By the way, that black armband that all the Cardinals are wearing in the memory of Ken Boyer, who died about a month ago, the longtime Cardinal third baseman, former manager. 2-1 pitch. The swing and a miss, and the count is 2-2.
This team lives with the memory of Kenny Boyer. I can't speak other than personally about Ken. It was like kin to me from the day he came up as a rookie in '55. From his performance in the All-Star game in '56 at Griffith Stadium, he hovers in everyone's mind here. An inspiration.
In the dirt. Full count. 3-2. The Atlanta Braves, owned by that man, made the cover of Time magazine this year. Everybody knows him now. Ted Turner. TV mogul, world-class yachtsman.
Sold all his yachts.
3-2 pitch. Broken bat, weak grounded to short. Fielded by Smith, who comes up throwing in distance. And that's that for the Braves in the top of the first after a half. It's Atlanta nothing, and the Cardinals coming up. Atlanta defensively, the steady one. Chris Chambliss is at first base. The infield turning over more double plays than any team in the league. Glenn Hubbard at second base. The shortstop, the erratic one, but he'll make some great plays for you, Rafael Ramirez. And around at third, despite the hyperextended elbow, he was in the lineup yesterday and again tonight, Bob Horner. In the outfield is the versatile utility man, Jerry Royster, a most valuable Brave down the stretch. In center, Big Dale Murphy. And around and right is Atlanta's leadoff hitter, Claudell Washington. Bruce Benedict has really come into his own. He's back of the plate for Atlanta. And on the mound, Pasquel Perez. With Pittsburgh last year, at Portland in the Pacific Coast League earlier this season, 17 walks in 79 and a third innings will tell you that he gets the ball over. Has good stuff. They traded him, as Tommy mentioned during the pregame show, for Larry McWilliams, who went to Pittsburgh. And he came on with a rush at the end and earns the start tonight.
The Dominican has a good arm. He's got a good fastball, and he throws a hard slider. He'll go after you real hard for 5 or 6 innings, and as I said earlier, if the game is close, they'll take him out and go to the bullpen.
He goes to work on Tommy Herr, Ken Oberkfell, and Lonnie Smith in the bottom of the first inning. Game 1, no score.
If there ever was a ball club put together for tailor-made for a ballpark, it's this Cardinal Ball Club. They really capitalize on the field. They hit and run. They hit the ball to all fields. They don't try to hit the ball out of the ballpark. Very rarely do they hit it a double play. And believe me, you'll see them scattering all over those bases.
The team built for the park and playing very well here and also very well on the road. They have similar records this season. A strike. The Cardinals 11 over, 500 here, 11 over away. 1 ball and 1 strike.
An index, Hal, to the stability of this team. Its basic strengths, as you look at that graphic, what a turnabout. That's why the Braves have such confidence in them. Defense and speed will give you that kind of balance.
Hit in the air to left center field. Royster moving back, and Jury underneath it for the catch. One down, and Ken Oberkfell will be the batter.
At one time, Pasquel Perez must have been a high ball pitcher because he's got 9 pounds of jewelry around his neck to drag him down to get the ball down.
When you get a chance, Tommy, because he came in the McWilliams trade, I want you quickly to tell the story of how you called Al Campanis and said, I want McWilliams. Not now, but when you see a spot.
A strike and the count 0-1. Kenny Oberkfell was very hot as the Cardinals finished the season. Moved him up into the number 2 spot in the order. The strike 1 pitch is wrapped fouled outside first, and the count 0-2. Oberkfell 17 for his last 31 during the regular season. To left field again. Instant replay here for Royster. 2 gone. Joaquin Andujar, yesterday's starter.
You know, people talk about pressure on a young pitcher like Perez, especially with the Cardinals having 6 left-handers in the batting order. But statistics, while very much used in baseball, can be deceiving. He pitches better against lefties this year than against righties. He held lefties to a .241 batting average.
Smith grounds it to third. Horner backs up on it, throws, and gets him. So both teams go out in order in the first. We'll go to the second at Busch Stadium. Atlanta nothing, St. Louis nothing in game 1. Bob Forsch, 6'4", 215, 32 years old, out of Sacramento, California. Howard spoke with him earlier.
Now, Whitey characterizes you as a complete pitcher. Ability to move the ball around the plate, throw a variety of pitches, know the hitters, prey upon their respective weaknesses. If you are the complete pitcher that he says, when did you reach that status in your mind?
Well, I think really it's within the last couple of years that I've got where the velocity isn't quite there that it used to be, but nonetheless the movement is, and I feel proud of myself that I don't walk a lot of batters. I think it's important to keep the ball in play, to give your defense a good idea of how you're going to pitch hitters and go right after them. When you need to make a pitch, you just got to go try to do it.
Forsch working here on Chris Chambliss, leading off in the top of the second inning, missing with the first 2. 2 balls, no strikes to count. Second inning, no score. Forsch with a 2-2 pitch to Chambliss, reaches out, grounds it down to Oberkfell. Ken gets him, and the first 4 Braves have gone down. 1 out, second inning.
Well, football coordinator, NFL, Jim Hannaford. Many things happening in football these days. The issues too complex to even begin to state here. A 5:30 p.m. federal court decision right here in St. Louis today.
Bob Horner, the batter, taking inside for a ball, 1-0.
Forrest just sent a message. He sent a telegram. He said, get back off the plate, Horner. It belongs to me.
A reminder tomorrow, California, Milwaukee, and the Angels can wrap it up with a win. And then game 2 in the National League from here. Grounded to short. Look at how deep Ozzie Smith was playing, and he has time to get the slow Horner. 2 down. Andujar also sent a message into Horner yesterday. Horner was grazed by a pitch on the bandaged elbow.
Well, that's where they're going to try to pitch him. They want to keep the ball in tight on him so he can't get that extension.
2 down.
That's one of the most remarkable men in American sport. He's 43 years of age. Only one man here older, Jim Cotton, not by very little. Still one of the great performers in baseball. He told the immortal gray ghost of Flatbush, Duke Snyder, today, let me pitch every day against this team. And he meant it.
He can do it.
Forsch missing here. 1 ball, no strikes to count. Bob offering that last pitch at 92 miles an hour. Royster fouling it at the plate. And the count 1 ball and 1 strike. It'll be interesting if the California Angels win in the American League and the Cardinals win in the National League. You could have a brother matchup in the World Series because brother Ken pitches for the Angels. Bob here with the Cardinals. Get Richard Dawson to MC a family feud.
Be a first.
You see the defense they set up for Royster. He generally hits the ball the other way. Ozzie Smith is very close to the second base, and the center fielder's playing him straight away, and the right fielder's over. So they're going to pitch him hard stuff, and he's going to hit the ball to right field in most cases. They don't want to throw him any soft stuff.
And down goes Royster. Kept it low and away. Jerry strikes out. Number 1 for Forsch, who has set down the first 6. And in the middle of the second inning, it's the Braves nothing and the Cardinals nothing. Going to the bottom of the second inning in St. Louis, Al Michaels with Howard Cosell, Dodger manager Tommy Lasorda. No score in game 1 with the middle of the order, Hernandez, Hendrick, and Porter facing Pasquel Perez, the right-hander. And all of the Cardinals will face only right-handers in the playoffs. The Braves with a 9-man staff, no lefties. 1-0 the count.
This guy is a manager's delight. He can do it all, both offensively and defensively. He's got power, hits the ball to all fields, can run well, he'll steal the base for you, and he can do it with the glove.
He was sputtering early on this year and enclosed strongly and lifted his average just 1 point shy of the 300 mark that he's grown accustomed to.
He only lost the 300 mark on his final at-bat this year, which troubles him because he's been so consistent.
Perez is trying to keep the ball down on him. He likes the ball up.
Chop foul, 2 balls, 1 strike the count. In the Cardinal dugout, Red Shandies.
That's another remarkable man, Al. Defeated tuberculosis in his life, past manager, one of the great players. Shane Deanston, Musial, everlasting Cardinals, great buddies.
Red now a coach, grounded to short. Ramirez over to Chambliss, and we've had nothing but outs thus far.
On the ground. Both pitchers have kept the ball on the ground.
I noted earlier that Perez was 241. Held left-handers to that. Right-handers hit him to 307 this year. So he's developed an effectiveness against those left-handers.
What makes his ball effective against left-handers is the ball moves when it's down, and he's got great life to it.
There it is graphically. Hendrick at the plate. Looks at a strike. George this season wound up at 282. Led the club in homers with 19. Had 104 runs batted in despite missing 26 games. He was out early with an elbow injury. 1-1.
Hall of Famer Bob Gibson. You talk about a toughie. There have been very few like that man. But as we noted yesterday, he's mellowed through the years.
When he was on that hill of thrills, he was tough.
Chopper fielded by Ramirez, who makes a nice play to get him. He couldn't afford to short hop it, gloved it on a bounce, and gets him. So 5 straight set down by Perez.
On the ground.
I liked what Tommy said in his opening analysis. He said, Perez, you can look for 6 good innings for, and then they'll come with Bedrosian and, of course, with Garber. But with Forsch, he said, you've got to get him early. And Forsch has been working very effectively, at least in the first 2 innings.
And you got to slow him down. He likes to work fast. He likes to get the ball and throw it. You got to step out once in a while.
Darrell Porter. It's a chopper to the right side. Hubbard over to first. 3 more grounders, and both pitchers have set down the first 6 men they faced. So at the end of 2 at Busch Stadium in Game 1, Atlanta nothing, St. Louis nothing. 3rd inning, no score. Glenn Hubbard to lead things off and takes a strike, and the count is 0-1. Bottom of the order, Hubbard, Benedict, and then the pitcher, Perez.
This is the kid they call the gamer. Tommy can tell you why.
He's tough. He loves to play, and he seems to get that big hit for them whenever they need it. He's very, very tough with the bat in his hand. And, of course, he's an outstanding double play man.
That's his lady.
He's not afraid on the end of the double play. You can go after him, but he doesn't give an inch.
Nicknamed the Mountain Man. To the count.
You realize the Braves hit 95 home runs in their 81 games at home, by far the most by any National League team in its own stadium.
And Hubbard goes down swinging. So 2 strikeouts for Bob Forsch. They are successive. He got Royster in the second, and here he gets Hubbard to start the third.
But, Tommy, in their 81 games on the road, Atlanta hit only 51 home runs to rank but 6th in the league in road home runs. Now, that's imbalanced.
Well, you get them out of that short park, and they become different hitters. And that's the big thing about this ballpark right here. It'll take away the power.
Bruce Benedict with a swing and a miss, and the count is 0-1. Benedict, no doubt, playing on a full stomach today because we saw him at lunch.
Yes, we did.
At one of Lasorda's places.
Charlie Gito's Pasta House. Wasn't it great?
Grounded to third. Short hop, knocked down, and no play. And the game's first base runner is Benedict. Oberkfell can't handle it, and it's scored as an error. Kenny charging in. Tries to short hop the ball. Hitting off the heel of his glove and bounding away.
He could have waited a little bit longer with Benedict running. He could, because of the fact that Benedict does not run real good. In fact, if Benedict got in a race with a pregnant woman, he'd finish third.
Here's a guy, a sneaky guy, Martinez here, first base coach. He's standing down there with a stopwatch. Mm-hmm. He's got you every time. Yep. He'd have to flip a calendar over with me running down here.
I thought Los Angeles was Tommy's present hometown, but he is the mayor of this city, I'll tell you that. They love him here.
Hernandez ready to charge in and then moving back. As Forsch throws over there.
It's a very unusual defensive position by Hernandez. He is not standing on the base. He is out in front. Very rarely do you see a first baseman in that position.
And he's charging. The pitch is a strike.
And the reason he does that, Al, is because of the fact that he knows that Benedict cannot steal. So he's up front getting ready to charge the ball. He's going to try to take the ball off the bat when Perez bunts.
Another strike. So Perez can't handle the first two pitches, 0-2.
See what the third baseman was and the first baseman? They will take the ball right off the bat. There's only one way you can overcome that. Have the guy run and bunt.
Squares, and it's a foul ball for strike three.
They intimidate you. The first baseman and the third baseman charging like that, getting real close. You say to yourself, I got to make a good bunt, so consequently you'll foul a lot of them off.
How do you combat it when you're managing the Dodgers? You beat St. Louis 7 out of 12 times.
I'll tell you, the only way to do it when those infielders are charging like that, you have to have the run and the bunt. They cannot stop that. You just hope and pray that they don't pop it up.
Claudel Washington grounded out in the first inning. Benedict at first base, held on by Hernandez more conventionally now. 2 down. No score.
I think you'll find Lonnie Smith a little bit deeper on Washington today than you did see him yesterday.
Joe Torre told me, and you heard it. Let's look at that last pitch, Tommy.
Looked like the bottom fell out of it.
Yep, right off the table. Joe said they played Claudel a little cheaply.
Washington fouling it away, and the count, no balls and 2 strikes.
Now he's got him 2 strikes and no balls. He's going to have a couple of shots at him on the inside part of the plate up high.
All right.
He can't give him anything good.
There is where Lonnie Smith is. As you can see, several steps further back than he was in the first inning yesterday.
Yeah, and we'll watch for the pitch, as Tommy predicted. He was playing a long shortstop yesterday. It's incredible.
0-2 pitch is popped up in foul ground, coming back toward the seats, and Porter will run out of room.
And on the hands.
Right.
Bob Forsch doesn't walk very many, doesn't strike out very many, always around the plate, as Tommy said. He won 20 games in 1977. Then he won 11 games the next 3 years in a row. 10 last year in the strike-shortened season. Then back up to 15.
Coming inside again with that slider.
Got a piece of it and got a piece of Porter.
So far, you're 100%, Mr. Lasorda.
Porter was injured earlier this season. Broken finger knocked him out of action. At the same time, Gene Tennis was hurt. That's when they brought Glenn Brummer up to do some catching along with Sanchez.
One of the maddening things, excuse me, about this game, his thumb is bloodied, the nail at least. They're working over it. Tommy will tell you exactly how to pitch every hitter. And then you reach a clutch situation, and somebody will somehow loop a ball. It might be Rafael Landeskog, and it'll cost you a pennant.
Don't bring that up, please, Howard.
But you're an expert on such freaks in the game of baseball.
That hit that Landeskog got to beat us in the 10th inning the other day, why, 3 guys got a hernia diving for it.
No balls, 2 strikes on Washington.
Going inside with a fastball now.
Benedict at first with 2 down, and Washington making them work.
You're on target, my friend.
Darrell Porter, no doubt any manager, Joe Torre, of course, included, observing that Porter has that right hand slightly bloodied, the nail. Can't help him.
They're going to run on Porter whether he hurts his nail or not. Now, look, he's moving outside. He's saying Washington's getting a little bit of the ball inside. Let's show him 1 pitch out away. He's looking inside now, so they're going to try to go away with the pitch.
And an 0-2, you can afford to waste one. And he wastes one with a capital W, 1-2.
That's exactly what he did. Did you agree with that tactic, Tom?
No. Got it too far outside, though. Now we'll come back inside again.
Now, we mentioned this stat yesterday during the rain-shortened game. Washington, one of the hottest hitters in the league in September.
He was the player of the month. The runner goes, and it's whacked in the center for a base hit. Benedict around second and goes to third. So they send Benedict that time, and Washington with a solid single in the center field. So Claudel fouls off several and picks up the first hit of the game. So runners at first and third with 2 down now.
Number 16, shortstop Rafael.
Again, after going in, then going out with 0-2, back in again and a base hit to center.
He made a good pitch on it. He hit that ball right off the hand.
I was about to say, you got to give credit to that hitter. He hung in there, he fought the pitcher, and finally, he got the hit.
Well, he's going to put Rafael Ramirez on a breaking ball diet right now. You can rest assured of that.
Ramirez fly to center in the first inning. No score, 3rd inning. First run of the game. Benedict is at 3rd.
Washington will run. He can run. He'll steal bases. Forsch has got a trick throw to first base. He's quick over there, but he's very slow delivering the ball home.
Claudel with 33 steals this season. That pitch for a strike in the count 0-1.
I mentioned yesterday, as you look at Claudel, he's become an interesting case. All over the place. Oakland, Texas, Chicago, the Mets. And finally, he settled down here. And despite all of the talk about how much he gets, he seems a contented man. He's gotten over the mockery of presumably being overpaid. And he's become a solid ball player. Fair statement, Thomas?
I'd have to agree with that, Howard, but for $700,000 a year, I'd be happy anyway.
Grounded toward the middle. Smith struggling to hurt, and that's the end of Atlanta's threat in the 3rd inning. No runs, 1 hit, 1 error, leaves 2 after 2.5, no score.
Hi, I'm Chris Chambliss. You know, baseball is full of opportunities. In 1976, I had the opportunity to help the Yankees into the World Series, and this home run did it. Another place full of opportunities is the Army, where you can travel, learn a valuable skill, further your education, and get generous financial aid for post-service studies. So consider the Army, where you can be all that you can be.
Call this number toll-free or see your local Army representative.
The steady one, Chris Chambliss, Atlanta's first baseman, 3rd year with the Braves. Howard spoke with him.
Session of managers, including the likes of Billy Morton and Bill Burton, 2 opposites in temperament. Here you played for Joe Torre. What is your reaction to Torre?
Well, he's really done a fine job with getting respect on this club. I think the club is a young club, and I think they needed somebody to look up to. And Joe has been that. He's been somebody who you just don't break rules against him. You know, he can be mean when he wants to be, and of course he's compassionate when he needs to be also. He's just been tremendous, and he's been responsible for putting this team together.
One of the interesting things about Torre is that in a sense he comes back home to the city and they love him and respect him here. Tommy well remembers the 71 series as we look at McGee. We'll pick up in a moment. Al?
No score, bottom of the third inning. Willie McGee, the rookie, fouling it away, and the count is 0-1.
That was the year when he had 137 ribbies, 230 hits, 363 batting average, MVP. Says he had the 6 happiest years of his life here in St. Louis.
McGee grounding it there. Chambliss into the right field corner.
Watch McGee run.
Over to play it, and Washington has it bounced away.
He's going to get a home run.
He is around second on his way to third.
Come on.
He stops there. He's not watching his coach.
Can you
Chuck
believe
Hiller
that?
at third, and the ball is now just reaching Chambliss. McGee never looked at Hiller at third.
That's exactly
He had 5 bases if he wanted.
That's right. He had a home run inside the park. Tommy called it on the button. The kid knows what he did.
Here it is down into the corner. He definitely has a double to begin with. Probably a triple if Washington even plays it perfectly. Now watch him. He'll come to third. Hiller's just waving him in at third.
Tell him to go. Watch.
He's not looking
Watch
at him.
Hiller.
He stops at third, never looked at Hiller, and here's the tough bounce you can oft-times get here at Busch Stadium, compounded by the fact, because of yesterday's rain, that warning track is still very slick. So by the time Claudel gets it in, McGee is at third. He could have scored easily. It's in for a strike. The only saving grace for Willie is that he's at third with nobody out. He figures to come in anyway. We'll see, though.
Chuck Hiller was going crazy again as you follow the ball. And it took that hop, skip, and jump past the right fielder. Washington, he knew what he had done.
Ozzie Smith at the plate with a count of 1 ball and 1 strike.
We saw the same thing happen in reverse last Sunday in Baltimore.
I'll tell you, you got to be alive with Ozzie Smith hitting in this situation. He's the kind of guy that likes to squeeze. Whitey will squeeze with him.
With nobody out, you think?
Well, possibly. I don't know.
Ozzie Smith.
You have to be looking for it.
Switch hitter. 1-1 pitch. In there for a strike, and the count is 1-2.
Oh, can that kid run?
Oh, he's one of the few guys in baseball who gets out of bed, turns the light off, and gets into bed before the light goes off.
All right, Thomas.
Here's the 1-2 pitch to Smith. In on his hands and fouled off his foot. 1-2 the count. Hit in the air to center field. Deep enough to score McGee. Murphy is there and makes the catch, and Willie tags. Murphy's got a decent arm, but he won't get him. 1-0. Fly, and the Cardinals draw first blood in game 1. 1-0 St. Louis with 1 out. Base is empty, and Bob Forsch the batter.
Look at that graphic.
The Cardinals, if they get up on top, are very tough, and of course that goes down to the bullpen. You think about Suter if you have the lead. They're also the type of team, as you can see, if they don't score first, they're in trouble, because if they get 3 or 4 runs down, they really don't have the kind of attack that can pick up a lot of runs in a hurry, a la Atlanta. 0-1 pitch to Forsch. Hit sharply on a hop down to Hubbard at second, and Glenn turns it into an out. 2 gone in the third inning, and Tommy Herr coming up. Herr will wait, allow Forsch to get back into the dugout, take a little bit of extra time. Herr, one of 6 switch hitters for the Cardinals. 2 of those 6 are pitchers, but again, as we stated it earlier, Atlanta coming into the playoffs with an all right-handed staff, all 9. So you'll never see the switch hitters in the series bat from the right side. to her. 0-1. But Shane Deans and Whitey Herzog. Shane Deans managed this team longer than any man in history.
When the opposing manager comes to the ballpark to play the Cardinals.
Loops in shallow left center, falling for a base hit. Tommy Herr with a single, and Kenny Oberkthal will be the batter with 2 down.
You were saying, Tom?
Yeah, the thing that they do, they say, hey, we have to be ahead of this ball club going into the 7th inning because of the fact that they have Suter down there. Once you get Suter in there with a 1 or 2 run lead, generally you can pack the bats. It's all over. Now you got to look for her to run in this situation with 2 outs and Oberfeld to hit her.
Grounded down to short. Ramirez will do it himself. 6 unassisted, and the inning is over. But the Cardinals on top with a run, 2 hits, and we'll go to the 4th with St. Louis leading Atlanta 1-0.
Has emerged from the shadows. Reggie Jackson, Mr. October, Fred Lynn, Don Baylor, Tommy John, and Bruce Keeson silence the Brewer bats. This is the power of California, hungry for a sweep in Game 3 tomorrow on ABC.
Going to the 4th inning at Busch Memorial Stadium. A lot of rain yesterday. Stopped about midnight. Beautiful day today. Temperature up in the mid-70s. Right now we're in the mid-60s. Game 1, National League Championship Series. Dale Murphy leads off in the 4th inning. Cardinals ahead, 1-0.
If you're on the Redbird side, this is what you'd like to see. Murphy leading off a lot of innings.
1 ball, 1 strike to count.
Another thing I'd like to say is I'd like to commend both managers. Both of them have done a tremendous job this year bringing their team to #1. So they're to be congratulated on the wonderful job they've done.
Torrey in his first year, after no success with the Mets, of course a different ball club down south for him. Into the right field corner goes Hendrick, and foul ground and makes the catch. George, a good defensive right fielder, gauging it all the way, knew exactly how much room he had, makes the catch in the corner for the out.
I think you have to give, as you look at this again, and that's the advantage of knowing your home ballpark so well. Look at that loping stride of Hendrick, a man built in the manner of Dave Winfield with perhaps a similar stride. Excuse me. Torrey faced every adversity during that apparent collapse when your club caught him, and he came back, kept his composure.
1-1 on Chambliss.
That's Audrey Chambliss.
Chambliss lining it to right field. Hendrick is there, gauges it, one-hands it for the out. For 2. And up comes Bob Horner. Horner grounded out in the 2nd inning.
Tom, you've seen this kid Horner from the beginning when he first came up from Arizona State. Seemed a wild swinger then, a disciplined swinger now. Have you observed the change, and how do you account for it?
Well, when I first saw him, I just thought so much of him. I liked him because of the fact that he had a real good compact swing, and he could hit the ball with tremendous power. He's gotten to where he's more selective. He's more of a disciplined hitter than he was when he first started. He's got great power. He's going to hit a lot of home runs in his major league career.
2-1 the count.
See him go inside?
You can't see it because he's wearing the undershirt today. He's got that left elbow wrapped, hyperextended elbow, incurred at Cincinnati on the 18th of September. Didn't play until last Sunday when he pinch hit. He was in the lineup yesterday in the rainout. Loosing liner, caught by Ozzie Smith, and a 1-2-3 inning for Forsch. 3rd time in 4 innings that Bob has done that. Have a look now at the swing of Horner.
Very compact, head and eyes right on the ball.
So Bob is gone. So are the Braves. We'll go to the bottom of the fourth inning. It's St. Louis 1, Atlanta nothing. Going to the bottom of the fourth inning in St. Louis, 1-0. The Cardinals on top. The well-clocked one, of course, is Thomas Lasorda.
That cost him $30. He couldn't believe it when he got the bill.
Did the manicure bit the whole thing today, didn't you?
Everything. The whole works. Howard, when you heard New York in between innings, what did you think about?
The man who made it his song.
Lonnie Smith fouling it away.
And our town song. Well, he's done that for a lot of songs.
You can rest assured he's watching this game.
Look at that average against Atlanta.
Lonnie Smith takes outside. 1 ball, 1 strike to count.
No question that Lonnie is a great all-purpose offensive ball player. No question.
1-1 to Smith. Grounded to third. Picked nicely by Horner. And he gets him.
Fine defensive play by Bob there.
He had a little trouble yesterday on a sharp grounder. One-hand pick here.
That was one of those do-or-die plays.
Either or.
Look.
Smith can run.
You still dream about Nettles.
Hernandez at the plate.
You know, it was an amazing thing. After that World Series in Anaheim, I had to make a presentation to Nettles. And I sat next to him at the dinner table, and 3 times he dropped his fork.
We're talking, of course, about the 1978 series. Dodgers won the first 2 games. There was talk of a sweep, and then catastrophe in the form of Nettles.
Right to Nettles. Hit that ball hard. Had him played perfectly.
Gittery's pitch to Smith. Ground ball to third. Nettles dives, backhands it, gets up. Long throw to first. He got him. Another magnificent fielding play by Greg Nettles.
1 strike pitch to Garvey. Hit hard once again. Nettles will go to second. He does get the rush. Sliding runner will retire the side. Greg Nettles with quite a defensive display that inning once again. The bases are full. Drew Nettles with a great play. To dial to get the run and save 2 runs. What a display by Greg Nettles, the Yankee third baseman, who's making a believer of even Tom Seaver. He is absolutely fabulous. I don't believe it.
Also, you could be talking about the first 2 games of the 1981 World Series before Greg went out with a thumb injury.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
That's much better.
Garvey alone. Play by Nettles at third base. I've never seen such a burglar.
Well, this ball is really hit. Oh. And they always said that third base was reaction type of position. Don't see too many better plays than that.
The Yankees were talking sweep and then catastrophe when a gritty manager refused to take out Valenzuela. Now they say, why did you take him out?
Hernandez takes low, and the count 2 balls and 1 strike.
I mean, if ever there was a story on the irony of managing, you're a hero when you leave him in, they're screaming, take him out. Boy, was that a draft choice. 42nd round. Oh.
This guy's some kind of ball player.
That's like getting Bart Starr in the draft round when they got him.
Bob Forsch, the pitcher tonight, was a 38th round pick. Swing, he comes around. 2 balls, 2 strikes to count. There's Forsch, who was signed by the Cardinals as an infielder. Have a look at Hernandez here. This one, they didn't even need to appeal. Plate umpire Billy Williams could call this one by himself. 2-2 pitch to Hernandez. Got him swinging.
Oh, he had something on that pitch.
Number 20.
That was a good fastball.
I'll tell you, this kid is throwing very, very well. Tom had said he would for 5 or 6 innings, certainly. Maybe he'll go longer tonight. But I mentioned early on He went in the trade that brought McWilliams to Pittsburgh, and I mentioned that you wanted McWilliams. Describe how that happened and why it was not possible for you to get McWilliams.
Well, we were playing in Atlanta, Howard, and I read in the paper where the Braves were going to give up on McWilliams. So I immediately called Al and told him what I read in the paper. And before Al could do anything, the Pirates went in and made a deal for McWilliams, and they gave up Perez. And both clubs, I felt, profited by the trade.
Certainly seems to have turned out that way in view of Perez's late season performances. But Campanis, as always, on the ball. Look at those September batting leaders. Quite a figure for Mr. Hendrick. And you see how strongly young Ramirez came, and Oberkfell, and Hernandez.
So several of these fellas were hot. Claudell Washington, it wasn't even on the graphic, was still named the player of the month.
Well, as I said earlier, that this fella could be the MVP of the National League. He and Murphy are having great years.
And your guy Guerrero, too.
Pete Guerrero's had a tremendous year.
He is some player.
What a ball player.
2-1 pitch is inside, ball 3. 3-1 the count on.
What about Mr. Oliver as we look at Mr. Torrey?
Well, Al Oliver came over from the American League, and he just continued hitting like he did over there. He's an outstanding hitter. But you know, one day Guerrero will be an outstanding hitter in the big leagues. He'll be like a Frank Robinson.
Hendrick is on. That's the first walk given up by Pasquel Perez.
That's good, huh, Tom?
Yes, sir.
Number 15.
2 down, Hendrick at first base. Darrell Porter, the batter. Howard asking Tommy if he still dreams about Nettles. I wonder if when Chambliss comes up, if Herzog thinks back to what happened in '76.
Jack Lytle was the man who threw that pitch to Chambliss in Yankee Stadium.
Mark
Lytle.
Can be relived by the various individuals under different circumstances.
Never forget that day when the fans stormed Chris. Under the rules, if he never reached home, impeded by the fans, it still would have been a score.
I don't know about that. What about the 1910 Merkel Boner when he failed to touch
1910? 1908 at the old Polo Grounds.
Right. Failed to touch second base.
When Birdwell got the
went
hit.
into the umpire's dressing room and got umpire Frank O'Day out, stepped on second base, and they called him out.
Hendrick at first base, 2 down.
And you were there.
1 ball, no strikes to count on Porter.
And forevermore, it was Bonehead Merkel. One of these days, Darrell Porter is going to hit in this ballpark.
That time he comes in a little bit more quickly, and it's wrapped into right field for a base hit. Hendrick around second. He's on his way to third, and the throw comes into second. So there are runners at the corners, with 2 down for the Cardinals in the 4th inning.
As I was saying, Tom, one of these days, Darrell Porter is going to hit in this ballpark.
There's a situation right now where the advantage of him going to third base with 2 outs, only because of McGee hitting. If McGee can chop down on the ball and beat the ball out, that run will score.
Bob Gibson, the pitching coach for Atlanta. Actually, the Braves have 2 pitching coaches. Rube Walker came down with Torrey from the Mets. Gibson, though, is the man who does the visiting on the mound. And they get busy in the bullpen for the Atlanta Braves. Donnie Moore, their long man, throwing back of Perez. Their bullpen, of course, is keyed by the 2 men who come in late, Bedrosian and Garber, but too early for them now. Moore is the middle inning man.
You ever face a tougher pitcher, any team of yours, than Bob Gibson?
Bob Gibson was one of the all-time greats, but you also have to remember Marichal was just as tough.
Really?
Absolutely.
Gibson pitched in the last postseason game in this park with the Cardinals, of course, against Detroit. 7th game, 68 series. Willie McGee takes inside. Cardinals ahead 1-0, 2 out.
Bottom of the fourth inning. George Hendrick is the runner at third. He drew a walk. Darrell Porter with a single is at first, held on by Chambliss.
68 was one of Bob's greatest disappointments. Cards led 3-1, blew the series. It became the Lolich series.
That was the play when Lou Brock failed to slide into home.
Ran in standing up from second on a hit.
Absolutely.
McGee, who tripled his first trip, a swing and a miss, and the count is 1-1. Whitey Herzog. He's given up the title general manager anyway. Joe McDonald running the office end. Joe Torre, first year with the Braves. Two men, either of whom could be manager of the year, and nobody's going to squawk. Fouled away. 1 ball, 2 strikes to count.
Throw the name Robinson in there.
Absolutely.
Frank Robinson.
Lasorda had no chance this year because that award is never really given to the best manager on the field. It's always given to the guy who takes his team from a spot that the preseason forecasters say will be, let's say, third or fourth, and takes them to the top, or takes them from sixth to second. So Tommy is the defending champ. You were out of the running when the season started.
It's a tough spot for the kid, for both kids.
1-2 pitch. Got him. So Perez works out of it after some advice from Gibson. No runs, 1 hit, and 2 left. Through 4 full. It's St. Louis 1, Atlanta nothing. We go to the 5th inning at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Al Michaels, Howard Cosell, Dodger manager Tommy Lasorda,
and a fellow named George Brett.
Had that shot for you yesterday. George still wearing the same cap. And, of course, the speculation is that Mr. Brett could be traded.
St. Louis cap, of course, is a throwback to his close friendship with his former manager, Whitey Herzog. And there's the ABC movie special, Having It All, world premiere next Wednesday, 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. Having It All, special world premiere movie, right after Tales of the Gold Monkey.
5th inning with Royster leading things off. Outside, ball 1. Royster, Hubbard, and Benedict against Forsch, who's allowed just 1 hit through 4. A single by Washington. 1-1. One and 2. Got the outside corner, and Royster walks away, shaking his head. Got the black of the plate on the outside, and he's gone.
Boy, he made some pitch right there. That is what I call a clubhouse pitch. Many a pitcher have made them in the clubhouse.
That's the 4th strikeout for Forsch.
Got a line for everything, don't you, big guy?
Hubbard at the plate. Looks at the strike, and the count is 0-1. To right center field. Hendrick going back with McGee. Willie says he'll take it, and does. Ball carrying fairly well.
That can sure make a manager feel good, watching McGee run. Still can't get over that trade with the Yankees. McGee for Bob Sykes.
Maybe the greatest steal since the Brinks robbery.
Fast outfield all the way around. Smith, McGee, Hendrick. Of course, it was the line by Bill Madlock that was great. They'll get to everything, but whether they'll catch it or not is a different story. 2 down. Benedict at the plate. 1-0 the count.
There's a situation right now where Forsch wants to get Benedict out awful bad because he wants the pitcher or the pitcher's spot to be leading off in the 6th inning rather than having the pitcher hit now.
Hit toward the middle, and even Ozzie Smith can't get that one.
So he failed in that quest, Tommy, and that's only the 2nd hit off Mr. Forsch.
Well, to give him a pitch, you give him a good fastball to hit.
Nobody's perfect.
So a 2-out single to center field by Benedict and Pasquel Perez, the batter. Perez hitting 167 this season, 159 in his 2 years in the big league. 0-1 the count. He was up with the Pirates last season. Cardinals staff picking up right where they left off in September. Andujar looking good yesterday. All for naught, of course. And Forsch tonight. It was pitching that won it for St. Louis in mid-September. 0-2 on Pasquel.
He goes away now. He's going to go out away with this pitch. He's going to try to make it bad, so he swings at it.
And Forsch able to come up with it. Runs halfway to first, flips to Hernandez, and that's that. No runs, 1 hit, leave 1 at the end of 4 1/2. 1-0 St. Louis. Smith to lead things off for St. Louis. Howard spoke with his double play partner, Tommy Herr, about him.
What's he do that other shortstops can't do?
Well, I think his biggest asset is his ability to dive for a ground ball and get back up on his feet and make an accurate throw all in the same motion. Some shortstops would get to balls that he gets to, but they could never recover and make a play, and he makes that kind of play look routine because he does it every day. And not only up the middle, he's done it in the hole, and it's just incredible the acrobatic flair that he can accomplish out there. It's just unbelievable.
This is the exact reverse of yesterday's game.
Ozzie Smith tries to bunt his way on. Perez barehand throws and gets him. Pasquel Perez coming down off the mound, set himself, barehanded the ball, threw a strike.
Excellent play. Tom had talked about Ozzie's bunting ability last time up, but they didn't execute the squeeze. Ozzie hit the sacrifice fly, you'll remember. That's accounted for the only run thus far, scoring Wally McGee.
So 1 down here in St. Louis. Base is empty. Forsch at the plate. Waves at it, doesn't get it.
Good hitter for a pitcher.
This is the kind of game when the maneuvers will shortly be developing. The late inning changes will be manager against manager and bench against bench. Do you agree, Tom?
I agree with you wholeheartedly, because as you get into the 7th inning, then the manager starts figuring out who his pinch hitters are going to be and what order he's going to use them. For the Braves, you know, on the left-hand side, they've got Biff Pocoroba, who can make contact.
1-2 the count.
And they also have Wissenton, who can hit pretty good. So those are the 2 guys that Joe Torre will go to against the right-hander. Of course, with a left-handed pitcher, he'll go with Watson, number 1.
Back through the middle, and it's a base hit. Perez got turned around on it that time, so he makes a nice play on the bunt, and then gets turned around and wasn't in position to field the ball, hit right back over the rubber.
That ball went right over the mound.
Yep.
He fell off. Any of those hard throwers, they fall off to the side. Watch it. There he goes, right off to the side. See? Right there.
Amazing how all the years, and there are still people, despite all of spring training, all of the practice, all of the teaching, can execute. 2 years ago in the series that had the greatest sustained drama I have ever seen, Houston against Philadelphia. You remember that series, Tommy? Yes. Houston had it won in the final game. Man on first, Bob Boone hits a grounder back to Nolan Ryan. The man mispositioned. An easy double play instead leads to a big inning because of Ryan's error. Now look at her against Perez. Career one.
Tommy Herr tonight, flying to left, singled, 1 for 2. Did 266 during the regular season, goes the other way and fouls it away, and the count is 0-1. Grounded foul. Cardinals on top, 1-0. Getting the run in the 3rd. Willie McGee a triple. Ozzie Smith scoring on a sacrifice fly. Pasquel Perez was the fella. You'll recall the story. Many of you read about it, heard about it. Got his driver's license in Atlanta earlier this season. Going out to the ballpark. Got lost his way. Went round and round. Showed up too late, missed his start. That came when they were really on the skids in the throes of that 19 out of 21 streak.
I wish he would have found his way, because Niekro pitched that game and won it.
That's right, and that started them right back. They won 13 in the next 15.
Loop down the left field line, curling foul. No chance for Perez to get lost tonight. The Cardinals, or the Braves, staying at the hotel that's right across the street from the ballpark. Joe Torre staying there too, and the jackhammers drilling into his ceiling for the last 4 days at 8 o'clock in the morning. Torrey thinks it's the Herzog Construction Company.
I meant to tell you, Torrey went for a haircut, the same barber as you. But they only let him use the shears twice because Joe is protecting everything that's left. And who am I to talk?
Joe's not losing his hair.
Don't let that line slip by.
You like that, alfalfa, huh?
I love that. Want to record that one for posterity. To right field, and deep but playable for Washington. Backs up, makes the catch near the edge of the warning track and forced retreat. 2 down, 5th inning.
I've never seen alfalfa leap on a line with more alacrity, Tom.
Well, I didn't want to see that one get buried now. Kenny Obergefell. Fly to left, grounded out, 0 for 2. Grounded down to Hubbard. He'll make the play at first, and the Cardinals are done in the 5th. We'll go to the 6th inning. St. Louis leading Atlanta 1-0. Back at Busch Stadium after this word from our local station.
The Yankees' Willie Randolph, he does it all. Pro photographer Fred Conrad, he catches it all with his Canon AE1 program. More advanced to capture Willie's sheer grace at second base. The AE1 program. More camera to follow Willie all the way home. Hey, can I try your Canon? Sure, it's simple. In sun or shade, it's a snap to use. The Canon AE1 program, so advanced, it's simple and more of both.
Top of the 6th inning in Game 1 of the National League Championship Series. Cardinals on top, 1-0. Scoring in the 3rd inning, Willie McGee could have had an easy inside the park home run. Settled for a triple when he had his head down. Never saw Chuck Hitter waving him in. But it did not cost him as Ozzie Smith, the next batter, followed with a fly ball to Murphy in center field. And it's 1-0 Cardinals.
The remarkable hitter. The corkscrew batting stance. They said it would never work. It only worked for more than 3,600 hits.
What a great hitter. Everybody talks about Musial and say, what a great guy he is. Who couldn't be a great guy when you got over 3,000 hits? Show me a 200 hitter who was a good guy. That's the guy I want to see.
That's Pasquel Perez. Kid's done a great job. Anybody's ball game, 1-0. 4 hits Cardinals, 2 hits Braves, and Mr. Michaels bring you the action.
And as we go to the top of the 6th inning, it's the top of the order for Atlanta. Washington, Ramirez, and Murphy. The American League off today. Game 3 tomorrow. Keith Jackson, Jim Palmer, Earl Weaver will be at County Stadium, 3 o'clock Eastern Time. Game 3 there. Angels lead 2-0. We'll be back here tomorrow night with you. Game 2, Bill Niekro and John Stupor will be the pitchers.
Well, they got their leadoff man. They've got to get something going here. They've got to get some hits and get some runners on.
Waddell Washington takes a strike.
I'll tell you who's got to get some hits. That's the Brewers. Didn't look like the same Brewer team I've seen all year long. Not last night.
Well, that California club is an outstanding ball club. They have some kind of hitters on that ball club.
They do, too. And Gene Mock, talking to Duke Snyder earlier. I remember 1944, Mr. Rickey said to Buzzy Bavasi, you see that kid? He'll never be a good ball player, but he'll be a great manager. He's pointing to Gene Mock when Gene was in the Dodger farm system. And the way
he is an outstanding manager.
And the way Mock plays was best recited by the Snyder incident, that anecdote.
To the hole and through, a base hit for Washington. So Claudel, who had a hit yesterday that was washed away, is 2 for 3 tonight. Player of the month for September in the National League.
Well, we're going to see how Torrey plays it here around.
That's the point. What do you look for, Tommy?
Well, there's a possibility he could run with Washington, who has great speed. Also, he figures with his big hitters coming up, he may try to play for a tie the way Forsch is pitching. I don't know. I'd look for him to hit and run, but
Hernandez just inside the bag and now back on it at first base. Ramirez is 0 for 2. Washington, good speed, 33 steals, led the club, caught 10 times.
up there to swing away and takes outside. Ball 1. 1-0. Oberkfell, who was in, backing up at third. The runner goes. The pitch is swung on and missed. And Porter's throw is a one-hopper that still gets him. Darrell Porter with a weak throw. Sidearm one-hopper, but it skidded up into the glove. And down goes Washington. Waddell's not getting the greatest of starts.
No, that was the key, Al.
Her moving over. Picked it up on a hop. And Washington sliding too early.
Yep.
Never got there.
Very interesting piece of camera work there because we were adroitly positioned for that situation.
Now 1 out and the 1-1 pitch is in the dirt.
I'll tell you one thing. That may go down in baseball history as the shortest throw ever to get a guy at second base. That ball must have bounced about 20 feet over the pitcher's mound.
Darrell's really had trouble with his arm this year.
Absolutely. He was on a disabled list. But on that throw, he's amazing to get that runner.
Waddell helping him out a little bit by coming up at the 89-foot mark instead of 90.
But what happens sometimes is that the ball off the turf may travel at a greater speed than his throw.
Picks up speed. Broken bat, bouncer back to the box. Forsch to Hernandez. 2 down. Here's another look now at Washington. Going 89 feet. And her making the tag.
Now's the spot to look closely. As you see Washington after the tag arise, you see that his foot indeed never reached the bag.
He used to come up slide and never got to the base.
What do you chuckle? Your guy did that, you'd kill him.
Murphy grounded out. Fouled out to Hendrick. He's 0 for 2. Fouled at the plate. This program, an exclusive presentation of ABC Sports. 5 seconds here to allow our local stations to identify themselves.
Eyewitness News follows the game here on WABC-TV, Channel 7, New York.
Busch Stadium, St. Louis. Al Michaels, Howard Cosell, Tom Lasorda with you. 1-0. The Cardinals on top. 2 out, 6th inning. And Murphy loops it into shallow center field, but Smith goes out, and Ozzie makes the catch.
He's amazing.
No run, 1 hit, nobody left on at the end of 5 1/2 at Busch Stadium. 1-0 Cards. That deal started when Smith was sent from Philadelphia to Cleveland. Bo Diaz going to the Phillies, and Cleveland turned around, sent Smith here. In return, they picked up Larry Sorensen and Silvio Martinez, 2 pitchers did the Indians. 1-1 the count. Smith, a member of the Phillies World Championship Club in 1980. Got fooled on it, trying to check his swing, and Chambliss goes to Perez, and Pasquel can't handle it. So Perez a little bit late in getting there, and Smith really flying down the line. And he's aboard. Little check swing, got fooled on the pitch, wanted to hold up.
Watch him go. Look at him.
And out of the right-hander's batter's box. Further distance to travel. Perez, late getting over, still might have had him had he held on.
Yep. He would have had him had he caught the ball.
But speed forces that kind of mistake, especially when there's the initial mistake of starting slowly, as was the case with Perez.
Speed is the only thing you use both offensively and defensively in baseball.
Cardinal principle of Mr. Branch Rickey.
Scored as a base hit, and here's Keith Hernandez, who's grounded out, struck out.
You'll see some action right here with Smith on first and Hernandez at the bat. Hernandez can handle the bat. He makes contact and he can hit the ball to all fields. He's a good hit and run man.
Lonnie, 68 steals this season, second only to Tim Raines. In the bullpen, it's Donnie Moore again.
And Steve Bedrosian.
And Bedrosian has just gotten up.
6th inning, I would expect Bedrosian.
More so if it was 1-1. But he's going to use Bedrosian. He can't let him get behind anymore. He'll have to come and get him before they score.
Hernandez at the plate. Smith doesn't go, and Keith whacks it toward the game from left center field. That's a base hit. Smith on his way to third. As the throw comes into second, runners at first and third with nobody out.
He's going to have to, if he comes and gets him, he's going to have to come and get him now to use Bedrosian.
I think he will come and get him now. Here comes Gibby. As you look at the hit again, the very bat manipulation with which Hernandez has come to be identified, going with the pitch.
Well, he's probably going to leave him in for one more hitter.
Hendrick is up next. He is a right-handed batter. Following him, Porter. So Gibson to the mound with runners at first and third.
Tom, do you think he can risk it in the light of what you've already said? They can't let him get behind another run.
Well, if he brings in Bedrosian, he would have to use him up real quick. But if he brings in Donnie Moore, it's a different story. You see that ball club? Lonnie Smith hits the ball to the right side. This guy comes up and hits the ball to the left side. They're amazing.
That's the Cardinal attack. Peck away at you. Nibble at you.
Well, you're right. He's leaving him in.
So Bedrosian and Moore still throw with Hendrick coming up.
He got Bedrosian up real late, so maybe he got word that Bedrosian was not ready.
I'd like to point out to our viewers that in our beginning analysis, you said Perez for 5 or 6 innings. You just saw that graphic of what we've got for you Monday night. That's incredible. And starting over.
Infield is a double play depth as Hendrick going for the down. Swings and misses, and the count is 0-1.
Starting over with Burt Reynolds, Candace Bergen, and Jill Clayburgh. And Burt proving to the world that he could do sophisticated farce, perhaps in the manner of the very great Cary Grant.
Hendricks was going to take one shot at the long ball, and now he'll start trying to make contact.
Led the league in sacrifice flies this year and gets fooled on that pitch. Bad swing. No balls, 2 strikes to count. Hendrick got him home when he needed to this season. 14 sacrifice flies. Not his pitch here, and too late for him to hold up.
Really pulled on that pitch. But he still, when he gets 2 strikes, he's a tough hitter. He doesn't strike out a whole lot. He'll try to make contact.
Braves infield, double play depth. They'll turn 2 to stay out of a big inning and give up a run. 0-2 pitch is low and outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes to count.
You better keep getting that ball out there.
Here's the 1-2 delivery. In the center field, and it's 2-0. Cardinals. Hernandez stopping at second.
You see how he shortened up on that swing? Just tried to make contact.
And did.
George Hendrick with 2 strikes, almost guiding the ball. Straight back through the middle.
There goes Mr. Perez.
And the dominant figure in this ball game is the man who's not even yet in it, Bruce Sutter.
Torrey to the mound.
But Whitey right now is giving him a lot of thought. It's like the family jewel in the boat.
Thornton wants the inside man. That would be Bedrosian. So Perez leaves in the 6th inning. The Cardinals on top, 2-0.
Power has emerged from the shadows. Reggie Jackson, Mr. October, Fred Lynn, Don Baylor, Tommy John, and Bruce Keeson silence the Brewer bats. This is the power of California, hungry for a sweep in Game 3 tomorrow on ABC.
Ted Turner not very happy about the way things are going, and Bill Bartholomew of the Braves alongside of him. We've got Ted from a different angle this time, checking the stats.
Bill, of course, was the leader of the group that originally bought the then Milwaukee Braves from Lou Perini and moved them to Atlanta.
And he is still listed as the chairman of the board of the Braves.
Exactly so.
It's going to be very interesting here how Whitey's going to play in this situation. If he bunts the ball, then you have the left-handed hitting McGee coming up, and he will be followed by Ozzie Smith and the pitcher. So there's a good chance that Whitey might have Porter hitting.
Carroll at the plate, takes outside, ball 1. 1-0 the count. Nobody out. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning. Cardinals on top 2-0. Keith Hernandez is at second. George Hendrick, the runner at first.
Bedrosian's going to look for a strikeout. He can throw hard.
2-0.
Fastball had something on it.
Steve Bedrosian was a starter in the minors. He was called up by the Braves last August. They made him a relief pitcher, and he's done a great job out of the pen. Comes in, throws hard, can give you 2 or 3 innings, and if necessary, they'll then turn it over to Garber. 2-0 pitch to Porter. Inside, 3-0 the count. 91, that last pitch.
That was thrown hard. But I mean, there's trouble.
He can throw hard, but he's got to get this guy. Got to come back and get him.
There's trouble in this River City.
Bases are loaded.
That's a tremendous break for the Cardinals there. He had Porter hitting for one reason. Had he sacrificed, they would have possibly have walked McGee and leave it to Ozzie Smith and the pitcher to have to drive in the run, which they have not been too successful. So he had Porter hitting and wind up getting away with it with the man walking him.
Gibson again with Benedict, Horner, and Chambliss. Steve Bedrosian, hard thrower, and let's face it, in a situation like this, young fella, a year and a half experience, you come in a situation like this, they're all pumped up a little bit. Mitchell with 4 straight.
He's throwing the ball hard, Al. He's just going to have to get it over the plate. He's got to strike out McGee. This is what he's got to look for right here. A strikeout. He's got to throw hard, and he's got to throw the ball in on McGee so he doesn't hit it the other way.
Willie had a triple, should have been an inside the park homer. Then struck out. He's 1 for 2. Infield plays in. 1-0 the count. 2-2 pitch. There's a broken back sliver into center field for a base hit. Hernandez will score. The bases are still loaded, and it is 3-0.
Hendrick had to make sure that ball wasn't caught, and that's the reason why he didn't score. But there they go again, making contact with 2 strikes. They do not strike out in situations like that. You saw Hendrick do it with 2 strikes. You've seen this guy do it with 2 strikes.
What they are, a bunch of pets.
They'll kill you. Opposite fields, balls hit over the infield, bunts, hit and run, steal.
And that one off a broken bat. Ozzie Smith at the plate. 0-1 the count. 95. The clocking on Bedrosian's last pitch. 3-0 Cards.
Ozzie Smith swung at that ball like he was a home run hitter.
He did.
Now he's going to shorten up and dribble one over to third baseman's head.
Sacrifice fly and grounded out. 0 for 1 tonight. 1-1. Denise Smith. Crowd chanting, Ozzie, Ozzie. Out of play. 1-2. 1-2 pitch to Ozzie Smith. Out of play again.
They do fight you.
They're battlers.
Still battling.
If he'd have hit a little bit harder, it'd been over Horner's head.
Turner came up with the ball.
Well, that may be Ted's best catch of the year. Sold his yachts. He's given up fishing, racing.
Torrey and Gibson.
Bringing in Washington, he's playing so deep on Ozzie Smith.
No, something got loose behind Claudel. They noticed something coming out of the stands.
But
balloon, I think.
Yep.
I think Torrey was trying to bring him in closer.
Well, let's see.
Something else got loose in center that Murphy went over to retrieve. So we wait while the count remains a ball and 2 strikes. There's a bottle out on the field that nobody notices. So we'll pull back and on the edge of the warning track out in right center. Nobody has seen it. A 1-2 pitch fouled away.
That's 4 in a row he's fouled away. I wish somebody would take note of that bottle, Al. That's a dangerous instrumentality right there.
No, you've got several million people around the country right now who know there's a bottle out on the warning track, but nobody's been able to get the attention of the umpires. I believe that's a plastic soda bottle. 1-2 pitch to Smith is popped up in foul ground, back of third. Horner coming over near his boss and can't make the catch.
So he has fought Bedrosian 5 times, Tommy, and bears out again everything you've said. Just meet the ball and stay alive. Now there goes the man out there to pick up that plastic soda bottle. Finally, it's removed from the arena. There he is with it.
Must have a TV set back there. One and 2 the count. 3-0 the Cards on top. St. Louis, bases loaded. Nobody out. Bottom of the 6th. Base hit. Hendrick comes in to score. Porter stops at third, and the merry-go-round continues. 4-0.
And so the game gets out of hand. And it's the scrappy Cardinal team. There's Denise Smith, overjoyed at her husband's production there. And again, just as Tommy Lasorda had pointed out to you, it was a matter of fighting the pitcher, staying alive. And 5 straight times he did it with foul balls, then that. A pitch to his liking, a pitch that he could punch to the opposite field.
I've seen his team do it so many times against us, where they hit the ball over the infield like that, hit the ball the other way. Very rarely can you strike them out. When they get 2 strikes, they really tighten up. This guy's a good hitting pitcher now, don't forget it.
Former infielder, that's the way he came up.
Lines it foul, and the count is 0-1 on Bob Forsch. Hit 205 this season. That's 1 point higher than his lifetime average. And he's hit 6 career home runs, the last coming in June of 80.
Look at this. Fly ball hit deep by Forsch. He knows it's gone. It's 12 rows up into right center.
As you mentioned, he's quite a hitter, along with a good pitcher.
Those good hitting pitchers, when you throw him that curveball, it makes a big difference with him. You've got to throw him some curves. This guy's tough with a fastball.
He makes the catch. Porter is tagging. Here comes the throw for Murph on a hop. Not in time. Darrell Porter tagging at third. Doesn't have blazing speed. Murphy made a decent throw. Line drive, 1 hop.
I don't understand why Benedict was
well out in front. Yes.
Benedict was up
should have been blocking the plate.
Had Benedict taken a little further back, he would have had a play on it.
That's right. That's Molly Forsch, by the way. And she can feel pretty proud.
There's a point right here. Look at Benedict. He's up close. If he had gotten back on to take the throw back, he'd have had a play.
Blocked the plate.
Tried to take the plate away from Porter.
Good.
Scioscia would have been right on that plate, blocking him off. Mike Scioscia blocked the plate as good as any catcher I've ever seen.
5-0 Cardinals. Tommy Herr is the batter. And that one skipping away from the catcher Benedict, and the runners advance 90 feet. McGee going to third. And moving in at second is Ozzie Smith. Scored is a wild pitch.
I tell you that, look at Torrey. moment, this conflict, but no quitting that, man, as we've mentioned. This Cardinal team, Tommy, reminds you of when they used to have all those rabbits running around. Johnny Hop and Jimmy Brown and the rest of those guys. Remember them?
Yeah, but they used to hit the ball a little bit harder than these guys have been hitting it.
Probably. So Bedrosian, who did not throw a wild pitch in the regular season, throwing one here, and almost had one prior to that. 5-0, the Cardinals on top. Runners at second and third with one out. And the 1-0 pitch, missing ball 2. The 8th man to bat in the inning. 2-1. Chasing a high fastball. Tommy's wife, Kim. Bedrosian to the plate, 2-1, and it's fouled away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Foul back.
Same pattern.
5 hits in this inning, tying the National League Championship Series record. They've gone to this format since 1969. Still only 1 out of the inning. And he strikes out her for the 2nd out.
Good fastball.
So Kim disappointed as Bedrosian records his first strikeout. And Oberfeld is the batter. Cardinals have hit around. Kenny, the 9th man to come up in the inning. Grounded to the right side. Chambliss will fall down and has no play. And it's 6-0. Bedrosian never got over there. He thought Chris would take it himself. The ball off the line. Chambliss looking for him. And then when he figured that he had no chance except to run over to first, down he went on the curve. So it should be a routine play. The Cardinals cash in and make it 6-0. Chambliss ready to come up and flip to Bedrosian and was wondering where he was.
That's the Cardinals in of pitching when you don't break over to get to first base. That was a terrible, terrible play.
Time called now. Here comes Torrey. Lonnie Smith is the batter. He started the inning with a single.
Now, here's where what you said a moment ago becomes very important. I would suspect he will take Bedrosian out and not make him, in your words, the sacrificial lamb. And they'll be doing the right thing.
And that ties the record for most runs in an inning. And that's what you have to do, basically, in a situation like this, because you want to be able to come back with Bedrosian if you can.
Absolutely right, Al.
And so Donnie Moore becomes, in essence, that sacrificial lamb as he'll try to get out of the inning. 6-0, Cards. This is what happened after Bedrosian failed to cover first base. The reaction of Ted Turner, vacating the premises, at least temporarily, with his team trailing 6-0, and Lonnie Smith, the batter, getting hit by the pitch. Grazed on the arm, I would guess, as he trots down to first base.
He's gotten on twice in this inning. He's the guy that started it all.
He started it with a base hit. Here it is again.
Number 37, first baseman.
Better to get hit by Moore than Bedrosian. Keith Hernandez, the batter. By the way, the scoring on the Oberkfell play with Bedrosian failing to cover, it's a base hit. Scored as a single and the 6th hit in the inning.
You're kidding.
That's what they scored it.
I don't know how they can give him the hit on that ball. If Bedrosian's over there, the guy's out easy.
Can you get the names of those scorers?
I knew you'd ask for that. You want the affiliations too, don't you?
Of course.
1-0 pitch, in for a strike, and the count is 1-1. Keith's wife, Sue.
Very kind of explosion that you can't afford against this team especially. Not against any team, but this team especially.
Especially the way Forsch is pitching.
2-1 the count. Hernandez driving into right field, but it will be a routine play for Washington, and the inning is over, but they send up 11 men to the plate, 5 runs, 6 hits, and 3 left, but at the end of 6, Cardinals Lewis to lead off in the 7th inning, hitting a high drive to center field. It's 4-14 to the wall. And so McGee at about the 4:02 mark makes the catch.
That's a home run in Atlanta.
Well, we talk about it, the difference between these two teams, the differences between these two ballparks. Not only 414 to straightaway center here, but 386 to the gaps. And I guess outside of the Astrodome or Candlestick Park on a particular night, this would be the toughest place to hit a home run.
That's true.
But the Astrodome remains the toughest.
It's the toughest, without question.
What this situation does, it makes it imperative that Joe go to Niekro tomorrow night. Don't you agree?
Yes, sir. I believe he's going to go to that man.
1-0 pitch in the dirt. 2-0 the count on Bob Horner.
Horner, I've seen him hit the ball on the other side. He'll hit the ball over there.
Now this time, nice play at third by Oberkfell. Strong throw. 2 gone. Kenny Oberkfell coming up as a second baseman. They wanted to get her into the lineup. Traded Reese, moved Oberkfell to third. And he's done a good job for them.
This is just one game. It's a best-of-5 series. And the way Atlanta's played all years, you look at the very great Lou Brock. You can't count Atlanta out of this series. But what this game manifests has been the cleverness of Whitey Herzog in tearing apart the ball club, as we talked about at the start of the telecast, putting it back together, tailor-made for this ballpark. And there is the gravel-voiced manager.
He's done a tremendous job, and he's an outstanding manager.
That line coming up, focusing tonight on Amerasians. Thousands of homeless children, Vietnamese by birth, American by birthright, who want to join their families in America. Ted Koppel with Nightline tonight, following your late local news. Royster. Smith is there. And the Wizard of Oz puts it away to retire the side. Forsch rolling along at the end of 6 1/2. In game 1, 6-0, St. Louis.
Baseball fever. Catch it. It lasts forever.
The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
Ted Turner, owner, Atlanta Braves. You saw him leaving earlier. Hope no misconception conveyed. The man is back. One of America's most enterprising sportsmen. He's proved that. One of America's most enterprising broadcasters. He's proved that. And a resilient man who won live or die by one day's contest, who's seen his manager and his team come back all year long.
His team trailing 6-0. George Hendrick leading off in the bottom of the 7th inning. 1-1 the count. Bruce Sutter in the dugout. No apparent need for him at the moment. Bob Forsch, a 3-hit shutout through 7. In the air to right field and deep, but Washington goes into the corner, has room, puts it away.
Ball hangs heavy in this ballpark. Usually along the foul lines, it goes for a good ride. It's in the gaps that it hangs heavy. But tonight it appears to be hanging heavy now.
3rd inning, Cardinals got a run on McGee's triple and Smith's sacrifice fly. And then there was the big damage. In the 6th inning, Lonnie Smith began things with a base hit before it was over and done with. 11 men had come to the plate. They had picked up 5 runs, 6 hits, and broke it open. 6-0. Here's Porter. Takes a strike on the outside part. 0-1. Porter, if any of the Cardinals incurred the fans' wrath this season at any point, it was him. On several occasions, they were disappointed in particular offensively. Rams this one into right field for a base hit and maybe more. Washington will play it off the wall, and Porter on his way to second. The throw is offline. It's double.
Carroll's beginning to find his bat in this ballpark. And the bat was just taken quickly off the field by a bat boy who was your bat boy, wasn't he, Tommy, for the Dodgers, as you look at the hit again?
Sean Rorty.
Washington playing that carom just right. Perfect. Bare hands, but then the throw is offline to the first base side of the bag. Porter has a double, the second hit of the night.
I've never seen a bat boy come out of the chute to get a bat like that young man has. He's Sean Rorty, and he's son of Mike Rorty, and he's our bat boy during the season. When we were down 2-0 against the Yankees, I called Mike up. I said, get Sean over here right away.
Willie McGee takes a strike, and the count is 0-1.
Two solid hits by Porter tonight, and the key walk from Bedrosian. Remember, that loaded the bases, and it really set up the big inning.
First man, Bedrosian face. No balls, 2 strikes to count on McGee. Slap foul. 0-2. Willie McGee got the call up in May this year. They were going with David Green in the outfield, and he's still on the team. Right prospect. Green got hurt. Brought McGee up and figured as soon as Green got well, they'd send Willie back to Louisville. Willie had other ideas. Hit about .450 over that 2-week stretch. And Whitey said, no Kentucky for you, pal. Down he goes here. 2 guys.
Number 1, shortstop, Ozzie Smith.
Willie McGee lunging at it on the pitch away. Ozzie Smith, 2 RBIs tonight. Grounded down to Chambliss. Moore gets to the bag. And nothing doing for St. Louis in the 7th inning. No runs, 1 hit, 1 man left on. On to the 8th we go. Card 6. Braves nothing. We'll be back here tomorrow night. Phil Niekro against rookie John Stuper. The matchup, game 2, 8 o'clock Eastern time.
So, tomorrow in Milwaukee, as cool a cookie as you'll ever face. Don Sutton Lasorda, the biblical figure from Norristown, Pennsylvania, can tell you all about Sutton.
He's a tough pitcher. He's been a big winner over the years, and when you get him in those playoff games, he becomes even tougher. He's an outstanding pitcher.
And, of course, we've talked about Phil Niekro, one of the remarkable men in American sport. A simply superb competitor, coming back after 1 day's rest, but with the arm to do it and the confidence and poise to do it.
What about Mr. Forsch? He has pitched a super game.
3 hits he's allowed so far. Starts Hubbard with a strike, and the count is 0-1.
Niekro is not on the Atlanta bench. He's inside, getting some heat on his shoulder.
To right field, Hendrick. 1 gone. 6 straight set down by Forsch.
Number 20, catcher Bruce Benedict.
You'll remember, Tommy, that Joe said the only problem with Phil was with his thumb.
Benedict, safe on an error and a base hit. Larry Wisenton, as predicted by Lasorda, has come out on deck to pinch it for Donnie Moore next. High for a ball, 1-0. There he is, St. Louis native, coming home.
Heat on Phil's shoulder just to loosen him up, right, Tom?
A little bit of heat on that old arm with a young body.
1-1. The count.
Forsch has been just outstanding tonight. He has made super pitchers the entire night. He's kept that breaking ball to the right-hand hitters on the outside part of the plate. He's just been a master out there.
We had a rough time during the regular season facing this same ball club, but not tonight. Foul tip and it's held by Porter. Strike 3.
That is the near perfection. He's given up 3 hits. against a tough hitting Atlanta club.
You know, what's interesting is you look again, foul tip held on to here.
That just goes to show you, a couple of those guys out there were throwing the ball 91, 92 miles an hour. You don't have to have that blazing speed to be a big winner in baseball. All you have to do is have good control.
During the regular season, Forsch in 10 2/3 innings against this club gave up 10 runs and 19 hits.
But that was during the regular season.
Point of information. In for a strike and the count 0-1.
During the regular season, Atlanta had great success against Suter. Believe it or not.
You know, another thing, a lot of managers might have taken that into effect and said, hey, maybe we won't pitch this guy against this ball club because of the inability to get him out during the season. But not that man down there, Whitey Herzog. He believes in his pitching staff.
Numbers on Forsch, who's got a big cushion here. Leading 6-0. High to Wissington, 2-1.
Forsch wants to throw a strike right here. Wissington, in all probability, will be taken.
Does. Forsch gets it over on the count 3-2.
You kind of do that when you're trailing 6-0, don't you?
Absolutely.
What a pitch. Struck him out. Strikeout number 6 for Forsch. And at the end of 7.5, it remains 6-0 St. Louis. Back after this message and a word from our local station. In St. Louis, the hand is for Bob Forsch as you look at Bob Walk, the new Atlanta pitcher. And the crowd, most of them giving a standing O to a man working on a 3-hit shutout and who has driven in a run tonight with a sacrifice fly.
A well-deserved round of applause for a great performance by an outstanding young man.
Looks at a strike, and the count is 0-1. Bob Walk, the 4th Braves pitcher. Perez, Bedrosian, and more preceding it. Forsch, what a night. 2 hits and a sacrifice fly and a 3-hit shutout through 8.
See the way he just laid that bat out there, Tom?
Told you before the game, he's a good hitter. He's a good fastball hitter.
So the man who was signed as an infielder originally spent 3 years playing the infield before they converted him. Singles into center. 12 hits for the Cardinals tonight. It's your basic Cardinal attack. 10 singles, 1 double, 1 triple.
And walk out of position as the ball went past.
Tommy Herb, 1 for 4.
Walk was acquired from the Phillies in the Matthews deal,
which looks one-sided right now. Well, the Braves think Walk can pitch. He's been erratic. He's been hurt, too, this year.
He had a good first part of the season. When the Braves won 13 in a row, Walk pitched very, very well for them. But the second half, he has not pitched very well.
Base hit into right field. 13 hits. They will stop Forsch at second.
It's amazing, isn't it? 13 hits. How many of them are singles?
11.
1 double, 1 triple, as Al pointed out a moment ago.
Number 10, third baseman.
So 2 down, or 2 on with nobody down, and Herr with the injured finger hurt it down the stretch, and they apply the bandage there so that if he slides and goes down with his hand, tapes 2 fingers together, won't do any more harm to the injured digit. Ken Oberfeld, 1 for 4. 1-0 the count. Normally, if the game were closer, you might see him bunting in a situation like this. You may see him anyway, but at 6-0, you would think he'd be swinging away.
This business, another day, another game. Atlanta came here.
Chopper to the right side. Hubbard is there, goes to second, and Ramirez is pulled off the bag. So the bases are loaded. Very tough play for Hubbard, who was going the other way and a spin around and throw a strike to Ramirez. Couldn't handle it.
The reason why you saw Oberfeld hit rather than bunt Whitey doesn't want to aggravate the opposition by trying to pour it on them. So consequently, if he tried to bunt that situation, it may anger the other club, and that's what Whitey is trying to stay away from.
Exactly the point I was making there. If you're leading by 6-0, if you bunt, even though a bunt is a conservative play by nature, that's pouring it on at that point.
And Atlanta came in here. It's goal to win 1 out of 2. Yes,
absolutely.
2 out of 2 would be great. And they know that tomorrow is another day.
If they can leave here with a split, then they'll go into their ballpark where they are ready and win 2 out of 3, they believe. That's the way you have to look at it when you're starting out the playoffs on the road.
Bases loaded, nobody out. Scoring on the last play, a base hit. Forsch is tagging. Let's see if they send him. Murphy makes the catch, and they're going to bring him home. Murphy's throw is up the line. Now they throw down to third. Not in time there. 7-0. Now they throw down a second because time hadn't been called, and not in time there either. And here comes Corey. Corey agreed with the first 2 calls, but not with the third. Wendelstedt at the heart of this one.
Let me tell you about Harry Wendelstedt and Tom Lasota. In a key game, the final game, a line drive. Russell picks it off. Instant replay showed it was nearly a foot above the ground. Simple catch. And Wendelstedt was umpiring at third. He calls it no catch. Russell had to change his lob throw to second. Try to throw to first. Now the play at third.
Safe at third there. Then time had not been called.
Now you got to watch this because this is Wendelstedt. Funny bit. Poor Harry gets into every kind of trouble in the final week. This is the one that killed Torrey. Look at that. Apparently out. He was late getting to the bag.
Well, blocked out a bit by Wendelstedt, but Torrey now goes to the mound.
So Lasota could write a book about Wendelstedt based on his experience. Look at this one more time. Blocked out of the bag. Apparently tagged out.
Yep.
Picture would seem there to be convincing. You can get misleading angles, but that seemed to be convincing.
Now the intentional walk to Keith Hernandez with runners at second and third to reload the bases. Cardinals on top 7-0. Take the bat out of his hands and go to work on Hendrick and hope for a ground ball and get out of the inning.
End of Lasota-Wendelstedt fracas. Giants scored 2 runs.
Fernando Valenzuela was pitching that game with 1 out in the 8th inning, and that's when it all happened.
Hernandez going to first. Harry Wendelstedt, by the way, has umpired more playoff games than any other umpire in National League history. This is his 18th. And this year they're going in on, as we mentioned yesterday, the merit system. It used to be just rotation.
I'll say one thing. They've got some good umpires out on that field. I'll tell you, I'm very, very proud of our National League umpires.
Oh, come on, Tommy.
No,
You're
I'm
up
serious.
in the booth now.
No, I'm serious about that, really. I'll tell you, they are good umpires.
That's what I love about the managers we bring into the booth in the playoffs, right?
I'm telling you the truth. That is the gospel truth. I'm telling you, we have some good umpires, and that's why these guys were picked, because they are good umpires.
Well, what about Harry's call on Russell?
He missed it.
Thank you, Coach.
Just like he missed that one at second base.
2-0 to count. 1 out, bases loaded. 7-0, the Cardinals on top. 2-1. Now, when Weaver starts to praise the umpires tomorrow, that's when I know we're in a lot of trouble.
He did at the Angel game. He said the guy made a good call.
He was out by 9 feet, right? 2-1 pitch. A swing and a miss, and the count 2-2.
Really like to salute Weaver and Palmer. They're doing a good job over there with Keith.
I'll tell you, I never saw anything.
Chopper, that'll be a foul ball. Foul ball.
Count still 2-2.
Never saw anything more thrilling, more touching than Sunday past when the people of Baltimore stayed in the Baltimore Memorial Stadium to pay homage to Earl. And it was totally understandable that he would break down and cry as he did. And what a beautiful thing to see Harvey Keene, with all that he's been through in his personal life, go over and hug Earl and congratulate him.
Baseball's going to miss Earl Weaver.
No
credit
question.
to baseball.
15 years.
A great manager. Maybe the umpires won't miss him.
Hendricks strikes out swinging. So Walk takes care of George. Second out of the inning, Darrell Porter coming up.
Let me say this, Tommy. It's been a remarkable year for baseball, an all-time season attendance record, and one of the nice moments at Dodger Stadium when the 3 millionth fan went in and you collected your team and you stood there and when the announcement was made on the pitcher's mound and saluted the fans.
Well,
it was to see your team play.
It was our way of showing the fans how much we appreciate the support they've given us because of the fact that without the fans, why, baseball is inoperable.
And even before the season started, that night in March in Phoenix, Arizona, when Billy Martin showed what he's really like, and we raised over $100,000 for the Kenny Boyer family. One of the most beautiful evenings ever. And Bob Uecker and Joe Garagiola joining in. Just a remarkable tribute to a man who'll be paid tribute to tomorrow.
Porter drilling into the gap in right center field, and Murphy is able to make the running catch. So the Braves escape further damage, but plenty's been done already. Cards get a run in the eighth, and we'll go to the ninth with St. Louis leading 7-0. Defensive change for the Cardinals as David Green comes in to play left field, taking over for Lonnie Smith. Somehow, some way, they'd love to be able to find room for him in the Cardinal outfield in the future.
You got to look at the body on that Green. He is really put together. Looked like when he put that shirt on, he left the coat hanger in it. Look at the shoulders.
Green on defensively in the ninth inning. Cardinals have things well in hand, on top by a score of 7-0.
For the Braves, number 15, right fielder.
Opening game shutout. Jim Palmer did it in 1973 for Baltimore. Sutton did it against Pittsburgh in 74. Molly Forsch. He's enjoyed every moment of it. Washington, slow bouncer, Smith charge, throws him out. One away in the ninth inning. Alan Roth, as always, doing an impeccable job up in the booth. Steve Hurt with the graphical information. Ozzie Smith makes it look very easy.
Ozzie Smith can play with the best of them. I'll tell you, you'd have to call this performance by Forsch a masterpiece.
Rafael Ramirez with one out of the ninth inning, takes the strike, 0-1.
Getting the edge of that plate, isn't he?
That's what you could do with statistics sometimes. Here's a guy that's given up 10 runs against the Atlanta Braves.
He averaged 2.67 strikeouts per 9 innings this year. He's got 6 tonight.
Foul back. Count stays 0-2. Forsch hasn't walked anybody tonight. Given up 3 hits. And he's faced 3 men over the minimum.
They say about statistics, sometimes they can be lies, lies, and damn lies.
What was it he said? He knew he had achieved status in the last 2 years as a pitcher.
1-2.
Then you go into the Atlanta clubhouse after this game. Don't think for one moment, and this is not a build-up for tomorrow, as you look at Herzog, don't think for one moment you'll see despair. They're pros, and Joe will just shake it off. We've been through it before.
Grounded down to Oberth, fell to third. Gets him.
And they also know come out of here with a split, they win tomorrow's ball game. They're in good shape.
The very point we discussed.
Once you leave here, the rest of them are in Atlanta.
Right.
So 2 out.
You figure if you get a split here, they can beat the Cardinals 2 out of 3 rather than the Cardinals beating them 2 out of 3.
Remember that earlier figure we threw out. 95 homers and 81 home games. The fans upstanding now for Bob Forsch.
2 out, bases empty. Outside, ball 1.
Murphy hitting again with nobody on the whole night.
Most of the Braves have been hitting with nobody on tonight. Chopper to second. Tommy Hurry's there. Wrap it up for the Cards.
Showing their appreciation for a great performance by Forsch and his teammates.